date?
Today is December 18th.
Oh fuck, my watch is behind today. Alright, so we've got Cheyenne hooked in. Jacqueline, do a sound check.
Check.
Scoot forward just a little bit. There we go. Because that one's sensitive, but it's not that fucking sensitive. Alright, so, ladies and gentlemen, we are here on a very cold and disgusting December 18th with two beautiful people at my sides, which makes it so much better, and a hot cup of coffee. We have, joining us for the first time, the beautiful, the powerful, the amazing to work with Cheyenne Jewel.
Hello.
And Jacqueline Velvets, as always, my co-host. Well, not as always, sometimes.
Yeah, the non-beautiful and powerful Jacqueline Velvets.
That's just a given. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that shit. But so we had a full day shoot yesterday with Cheyenne for SKW, and we had a blast. I think I kind of put you through somewhat of a ringer. Like we did. Well, I mean, the first one wasn't bad because that was you and Simiko.
Yeah.
And she's like little teeny tiny.
Yeah, easy stuff.
Bouncy Japanese girl. And then I think you had a destruction at the hands of Tiny.
Yeah.
Which was funny because it was the first time I've ever seen Cheyenne actually horrified.
Yeah, I was pretty terrified with some of those very high moves.
Well, I've seen you pretend to be afraid, but the moment he hoisted you over his head and your face just went.
Were you actually scared he was going to drop you, or are you just like surprised?
Well, I felt safe with everything because I felt like he had a good strong grip, but the shocking was probably the ceiling press because I felt like I couldn't really hang on per se. I posted off of his chest and his shoulders, but then I wasn't really hanging on.
Oh yeah.
So that was pretty scary.
At least if you fall, you'll have nice soft mats to land on.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, he was having a pretty hard day because he was tired as shit. But he's like, I'm gonna bring it. I'm like, okay, dude. I was like, we can skip this if you'd like. I can just step in and do it. But he's no, I'm gonna bring it. And he was brutal, man.
Oh, he brought it.
He was saying some of the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life. Which, actually, we'll have to remember to go back to this quote later on. But then after that, we did a video with you versus two of our girls, Anne Marie and Monroe, and that one was more of like a relaxing kind of like I'm just gonna scissor these girls and knock them out and whatever.
Easy stuff.
So it's good stuff, and now we're lucky to have you here for today to do the podcast. So I usually try not to do a whole lot of a format, but we do like to kind of clue people in who don't know who you are. To me, Cheyenne is a model. We met. God, how did we meet?
Well, we just knew a lot of the same industry acquaintances, and I don't remember who very first introduced us, if it was like at a fetish con like 6 years ago or something like that. Yeah. I vaguely remember it being a fetish con, but I could be wrong.
There's a lot of alcohol that happens at fetish con.
Yeah.
So it's like you run into people and it's like, yeah, I totally met you at fetish con. It's like, I met a lot of people and I was very drunk the entire weekend.
Yeah.
I recently had a girl. Let me start. Actually, I have to start the stopwatch on this. Here we go. Stop. Okay, and reset. All right. I had a girl who was like, hey, I have a friend of mine named, I forgot the name of the model, but she's like, she wants to come work for you. She's heard a lot about you. And I was like, oh, cool. Send me a picture. And she sent me like all these modeling shots. And I just go like, that girl looks familiar. And I started going through my FetishCon album on my phone. And
Did you already work with her?
No. There was a shot at the bar, and there's this girl kissing me in the cheek, and then she's kissing Addie on the cheek, Addie Juniper, and then she's kind of like really like huggy, lovey, and there's 3 shots of this girl, and I'm like, send it back to the girl Alondra, or whatever her stage name is. But she was just like, yeah, that's her. You know her? I'm like, no, she was just really fucking drunk that day. And she was like just kind of kissing everybody on the cheek and doing photos and photobombing. And so she forwarded those photos to the girl, and the girl's like, I have no idea what the fuck that is. Like, that's how drunk she was. So that's how FetishCon works. Like, you could totally meet somebody there and not remember it.
Drunk con.
But, so for those of you who don't know, Cheyenne is a model, but also you've done grappling. You've worked for, you've pretty much done the whole gamut, like everything in terms of the fetish world.
Yeah.
And you also produce your own content. Can you give us like a quick intro into like how you got started in the biz? Like,
Actually, on accident, I didn't even know anything about any of this. In my early 20s, I started dancing at a gentleman's club near where I lived in Northeast Ohio, and there would be kind of like porn recruiters that would come in the club. Once there was this really skeevy guy from Youngstown. He used to come in on a few evenings, and he would try to recruit girls for porn. Well, he never actually approached me. He approached some of my bustier coworkers and whatever at the time. And then I just, was always curious about porn and, how do you get into it? What's behind the scenes? What's it really like to do it, as a job? And I would watch the Playboy channel and always be interested in how it actually works. And I answered an ad in the back of kind of how most big cities have, an entertainment magazine or paper that is for free on the stands when you walk out of the stores.
Yeah.
So Cleveland has one called Scene Magazine, and I would always grab it because it would show bands coming through, and I would find fun things I wanted to do out of the back of that magazine. So one day I ventured back into the adult section, and of course it was a bunch of escort ads and stuff like that. But there was this one ad that stood out to me. It was no sex, will train, athletic young women. Doesn't have to be nudity, very easy, quick money. And I'm like, what is this? You don't even have to get nude, huh? So I called the guy, and it was a guy who was just, I guess he had done some sessions, and he had recruited some wrestlers for Utopia Entertainment in Cleveland. And he was literally just recruiting athletic women to get into the session world and into the video world, and then he would send them off to Utopia, and then he would get a finder's fee or whatever.
Yeah.
So Utopia was my first wrestling company. Nice. So at that time I had only stripped at strip clubs. That was my only adult experience, and maybe some lingerie photos or something like that.
What's I remember Utopia, the name. What kind of wrestling is it? Is it more grappling based? Or
they do mixed and femme. I'm not really sure how much femme he does anymore. I think his mixed stuff was always his bread and butter.
So femdom?
Yeah, more the femdom.
Yeah.
Like the guy's usually on the smaller side, doesn't usually fight back, so it's usually he's just getting his head scissored off. Kinda. Yeah. Yeah. Lots of scissors. So they trained me, just the easier moves like scissors, grapevines, chokes, easy stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so that was exactly 10 years ago. It was
Holy shit.
it was 05-06 when I first worked for Utopia. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So your first foray into fetish was wrestling.
Yeah, it was wrestling, and then from wrestling and from being exposed to the session world, then I started to understand. It started to click more that okay, this guy's into scissors, but he also likes feet, or this guy's into feet and he also likes face sitting, and then kind of how a lot of it just runs together. And so I learned about it that way.
Did you end up branching into session work from there, or did you just start doing?
That same guy who was recruiting, he had mats in his basement, and so it was kind of an easy way to start, because it was
what kind of weirdo has mats in his basement?
Well, he obviously he's done this before.
Only the biggest weirdo ever.
So after, let's say I worked for him, for a year, it was kind of okay, it's cool that he supplies this mat room and he's upstairs for security, because it was his basement. So the guys would come in a side basement door and go down in session with me, and they never knew that he was upstairs if I had a problem.
With a shotgun or whatever.
I don't know. So it was
watching on syndicated.
Yeah, closed caption.
Yeah. So it was a safe way to
Dick and he's dead.
be introduced. But then after a year of that, I was this is stupid. Why don't I just have the WB take down the fake ad that he made for me and put up my own and just go on my merry way? Because I had to give him a cut out of each session for using his basement.
Yeah.
So then I just went on my merry way from there, and then several years later, I moved to Vegas, which I think is one of the best spots to be a session wrestler because of all the tourists from all over the world that come through constantly. So it's one of the easier flows for sessions, I think.
No, I'm sure a lot of people come through. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. People just go on vacation there, and it's oh, well, fuck, well, I'm here. Shit. So we've got you into the wrestling, and then you branched off to doing session work. When did you decide to kind of come back into video and working for other companies? Because I know you've done kind of like I said, you've run the gamut, done a lot of stuff under what I call the umbrella fetish, which is like all these different hits you can do, like and themes. Is that something that you started learning as you worked with other companies, or you just did it on your own?
Yeah, more learning from the video work as well, because then, like one of my first foot fetish shoots that was just a video shoot was for, I think, Philadelphia feet.
Oh, is it John?
John, yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of my first just foot fetish.
Yeah.
And so I would start asking questions because I was so young, and I was just trying, my eyes were so like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know about this world, I didn't even know that this existed and that existed, and so I would start asking the producers, like, to explain a little bit of the psychology behind it, like, why do they like this? Why am I doing this a certain way? And then I started getting interested in kind of like the psychology behind like a lot of the individual fetishes and how people get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your favorite fetish?
I don't have a favorite. I'm kind of a very, I guess you'd say, short attention span, so I get very bored easy, and that's one reason that I like what I do, because every day is different. Every shoot's slightly different. Every producer's slightly different. Yeah. Every day can be a different fetish or a different this and that. So it's like I don't have one thing. It's like the favorite.
So do you have any particular fetish that you prefer, like not prefer, but that you've had really good time shooting compared to others, like that you do and you're like, this is fun, but like this was kind of kick ass to try? Like something that just kind of popped out at you and you're like, not necessarily something you have to do over and over again.
Now I have to think over 10 years of all the awesome shoots, though.
Well, just a single highlight, because it's always interesting when you're doing so much of it, something pops up and you go like, that was really fun.
Yeah, you discover your forte, like something that you're really good at, something you feel very passionate about. And
like in the world of like what we do with my wrestling stuff, we do so many different matches. You did 4 different kinds yesterday, even though it's all under the label of wrestling. But like I would think, I don't know, probably having Amazing Kong here, who was somebody I used to watch on TV, and I thought she was a badass. And she's here like slamming my girls around, and I'm like, fuck it, this is actually happening. So that was kind of a highlight. But
well, I've had so many amazing experiences, and now I'm trying to pick one. I'm drawing a blank at this moment.
You can always revisit it.
Okay, I'll think about it while we talk about other things.
It'll pop in your head.
Yeah,
you're just gonna be like mud while wearing schoolgirl outfits. But so we had so moving on to the production aspect of it. When did you start shooting your own stuff?
I started collecting a little bit of content in like 2010, 2011, but I didn't actually launch my first clip store till it was either late 2011, early 2012, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and now I have 4 individual ones.
Do you have any particular fetishes that you shoot that get a little more attention from fans than others? Or?
Well, my face sitting store was sitting in the top, usually the top 5.
It was sitting.
It was sitting at the top 5 of its category.
Face sitting on the top 5.
And then that dropped off because I haven't been doing updates. But yeah, my face sitting was selling pretty well, and then a few little niche things that I'd throw in with wrestling, like I started producing scissor hand jobs.
Okay.
So I would get some of the more athletic porn girls that knew how to scissor, but were okay with doing, you know, the jerky jerk. So that was selling really well for me for a while, and and then just some other random little niches.
Did you? Yeah, and the face sitting thing. I remember. It didn't come up yesterday, but yesterday we were working with 2 girls, and one of them, I'm not going to give her name, but she saw you like getting ready, and she's like, that girl's ass is crazy. It's crazy. And I was
if anybody listening hasn't seen what Cheyenne's ass looks like, please Google her.
Google
because,
it.
Oh my God.
Cheyenne Jules' ass.
It is all over the interwebs.
It is currently face sitting at the top of Google.
Feel free to pause this podcast immediately and Google that ass.
It's like those the books you read as a kid, like, and now turn the page after the sound of the ass sitting on it.
Cheyenne's ass at google.com.
But yeah, it was one of the newer girls, and she was just like, what does she do to get that? I don't fucking know. I'm assuming she works out. Deal with the devil? I don't know. But anyway, so and I know recently we were talking about how you you haven't really been shooting as much? Is it you're stopping trade, or you're just
I won't say I had a burnout, because I've had burnouts before, and that's generally when you're shooting every freaking day and you don't get a break and your head wants to explode, and I know you guys can attest to that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, my head has exploded many times over.
Yeah. So I've had legit burnouts, but something this spring, I just woke up one day and was like, it's not that I dislike my job, because I'm very blessed and very appreciative to all the fans that have allowed me to continue to do this for over 10 years.
Yeah.
But I just woke up one day and was like, why am I going to update my clip stores if you guys are just going to steal my videos?
Yeah.
I just woke up one day and was like, I'm not producing any new content for Clipster Sale. You guys can pay me for customs, and then maybe I'll load those. But the random, just all the, when I get together with, models coming through Vegas, or if I'm traveling and we do these big afternoons of all these clips and these trade days and all this stuff, and like, for what? For you guys to pirate it all? All that wasted time. So I just got to where I'm just not doing a lot of exclusive trade with anyone right now, because I would prefer people to order customs right now, and that's kind of what I'm going with right now.
And then you can get a profit off the custom.
At least I'm
sales.
being paid
Yeah.
for my time, and then anything extra is a plus.
yeah.
So that's kind of where I am right now.
That's a good topic to hit, because that's something that's happening now. Hopefully, maybe if we keep doing this podcast later on down the road, it'll peter off and won't be as bad. But yeah, there's even my stuff. Like me and like Jackie and I don't. We don't really shoot porn. So to see our stuff up on Pornhub,
I mean, it's porn to
it's
some
porn
people.
to people. I mean, it's fetish. But but when you see, you go to Pornhub, there's not a picture of a girl, putting her foot on a dude's face. It's just like fucking, there's, assholes with elbows in them. And then, but there's these little pockets of Pornhub where it'll be like, all my fucking videos. And I'm just like, the good thing about that, I think I talked to you about it before, but to reiterate, you can hire someone to just DMCA that shit.
I do them myself. It's more of the time
that it takes.
Like, I even tell fans, if a fan finds a link and they send it to me, they can go to my clip store and they can tell me a clip that they want.
Yep.
I will reward them with a free clip. So I am still doing that to anybody that's listening.
I do that as well. I actually do that as well.
I love when fans save me time and tell me that something's going on that I'm not aware of. That's always great. But it's more, I don't have the time to sit there every day and go through Pornhub and RedTube and this and that.
Yeah.
I just don't have the time.
It's impossible to keep up with it with all the stuff that's out there.
But the good thing is we do have very faithful fans who will contact me and say, hey, man, I saw this. This guy has all your shit in this one place, but he's blocked it. But I found a way that you can go in there and, copy it. And usually, I mean, shit, most fans who don't give a fuck are just like, yay, free stuff. But they understand that in order to see more new shit, we have to be making some sort of money to produce new content. And some people don't. They don't give a fuck. They're just like, I just want what I can get for free now. And so maybe fans who hear this and hear that you're no longer doing as much trade work and you're concentrating on customs can see that as like an effect of this stupid shit going on. And they'll go like, man, we should really crack down on this.
Yeah, we've spoken about this before in previous podcasts, and just how it hurts the industry for people like us, because I mean, we're not going to sugarcoat it and say that we don't torrent, music or movies like Hollywood films, but that's on such a larger scale, and it's like we're working in this industry as an individual. Like, this is our main source of income. Yeah. So when you take that away from us, it hurts us exponentially. And it's not like we have a whole crew like paying for everything, and it's like, no, this is the only way that we make our money. And when stuff like this happens, it's like, it sucks. You have to take away your content from everybody else, and then you can't shoot what you want, like what you're doing.
And the other thing is, like Rogue One just came out. I have a feeling it's, ticket sales are not going to be hurt by some guy uploading a cam to a fucking torrent site. Whereas, with us, it's, you can easily put our stuff up on YouTube and we'd have to fight to get it taken down. Yeah. These guys, Hollywood has millions of lawyers ready for anything like that to happen.
I don't think that some of the fans, I don't think that some of them realize that we are not Hollywood. Yeah. We do not have the funds to go through with how Hollywood can go and track things down and have lawyers and stuff like that. Like we are single people or couples, you know, just like trying to make it. And it's we're not living in mansions, and you know, it's not like that.
No, not at all. I mean, sometimes we'll shoot in a mansion, like you'll see that in like a late night Cinemax thing. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's a tough situation. But yeah, I mean, it's something that will either work itself out, or we just got to keep fighting it. But
Yep.
But moving on to brighter things. Let's see. So now you're currently doing, in terms of your travel and stuff, you're just doing like occasional trips to certain sections and just shooting.
If I could get myself on a webcam schedule and do well, I wouldn't ever leave my yard, to be honest with you. But I'm one of those people that has a hard time sitting still in my house and like focusing on computer work or sitting on cam. I always have to be like doing something. So I've been doing about a week a month in a different area. So like you guys, Atlanta had me for my December 1 week away, and I'll be home the rest of the month. Other than I don't count quick runs to LA. I don't count because it's really quick and I can do it in 1 or 2 days. So it's not a big deal to go out there for like 1 or 2 shoots and hurry back. Sometimes I won't even get a hotel. I'll just drive out, shoot, and then like usually have to take a nap in my car on the way home.
Oh, there you go.
It's cheaper than a hotel.
Yeah.
That's true. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention, a lot of fans that do know you through Ultimate Surrender.
Yes.
And that's a company that I've always been just kind of blown away by, because not just of the popularity, because we were talking to one of the wrestlers yesterday, and this is a person who I didn't know even looked. I guess I'm not going to say this person looked at that kind of stuff, but he knew what Ultimate Surrender was, because the moment I said that, he's like, oh yeah, I know what that is. And I'm like, do you know what happens in Ultimate Surrender? Yeah, I know what happens. And,
yeah, I like your strap-on pictures, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they're a hit. Yeah, people like those.
But yeah, and I think I'm not going to give the line away, but there's a line in one of the wrestling videos where it's mentioned, and it's fucking. It's one of the funniest lines I think we've heard on the site, and you just went with it. Like, I honestly thought you were going to break character at that point.
I want to know what it is.
I mean, well, not everyone's going to buy it, but so Tiny had asked me, like, oh, what does she do pro? And I'm like, well, she's not a pro, but she's done pro style wrestling, and she does grappling, and I said, but have you ever heard of Ultimate Surrender? Expecting him to go like, no, what is it? And he's like, oh yeah, that's the one with the strap-ons. And I'm like, fuck. It's like the Disney of porn. Everyone knows Ultimate Surrender. At kink.com, those guys are fucking massive.
Yeah.
And so so for those who don't know, all three of you, Ultimate Surrender is you grapple for real, right? And whoever
it is 100% competitive. A lot of people want to argue that it's not, just because of the porn aspect, but we go at it. I mean, those of us that are usually in the Summer Vengeance, which is like the year-end kind of tournament bracket that they do, well, it ends in September, but for their season, those of us that do have some outside training are generally the ones that end up ending in the top spots of the bracket, and first, second, third, and whatever. So it's like you have to actually have some real wrestling or jiu-jitsu skill to have success with Ultimate Surrender. You can't just go in there not knowing anything and flail around. You do have to have a little bit of training.
So. I had one girl who worked for them. Very beautiful, brunette. She did a couple of things for us, but she had started in porn and switched to pro wrestling. But she told me she had been Ultimate. She had gone there with no training.
Was it Trina Michaels?
Yes.
She worked for him for quite a while.
Thank you.
She was before I got into it.
Yeah. And Trina was great to work with, but we were talking outside about the fire, and she just was like telling me all these stories about, like, man, I should have fucking learned to grapple. Because for those who don't know, like I said, if you lose a match at Ultimate Surrender, there's a couple different things that can happen. But I'm saying the most common theme is that you get fucked with a strap-on.
No.
I'm assuming there's variations on that too. I haven't seen a lot of the site. But.
You do get... Everybody that loses gets fucked with the strap-on, but whatever other various humiliations they might mix into that round just depends on the girl's limits.
Okay.
Yeah, on the talent's limits.
And so I told this to Tiny, and he's just kind of like, oh, all right. And he just, I didn't think he was going to file it away for future use. But there's this scene where he's got Cheyenne on the floor, and like he's just give her a big slam, wakes her up, and he's like, I think you were like, I give up. And he just goes like, are you giving me your ultimate surrender?
Yeah, it was really creepy.
And you said, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. He's like, you know what that means? You're going to get fucked.
Oh my god.
As in fucked up, as in not really. But
Play it however you want, Tiny.
Sumiko was next to me, fucking like holding her mouth, trying not to laugh. I've never seen that girl break character. You didn't break character at all, which is fantastic. I think he even told you that.
Yeah, he complimented me afterwards and told me that.
It's like you didn't laugh
That's
once.
awesome.
It was
fucking awesome.
fucking amazing.
I think I was too terrified to think anything was funny.
Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me.
Yeah.
Please don't kill me.
It was fucking hilarious. You guys put on quite a show. So going back to a few of the, because we're one of the things we like to talk about is just fetish in general, but also just sharing kind of stories and stuff. One of the things that our fans like to discuss is in terms of, and I always have to issue a disclaimer. I used to be one of those guys that looking at fetishes I didn't understand, I would criticize them. And as time has gone by and I hear more and more about what people are into, and even the stuff that I don't understand, I try to understand it because I understand. I know these people are not coming from a place where they're strange. This is just what hooked them in at a certain time in their lives. They had no control over it, I think. And so I think the nature of fetish is that. So that's a disclaimer. I'm never going to say that anything's weird that you guys are into, because I'm into stuff that, vanillas will look at and like, females wrestling in bikini? Oh my God. And then knocking women out, carrying them around. Where are you taking them? And so with that in mind, however, which requests? I know you've done a lot, and you're very open-minded. So this is kind of interesting to me. Like, out of all the requests that you've gotten, has there ever been, and I've asked this before, anything that you either said just fucking no to?
Oh yeah.
And why? And then the other part B of that question is like something you said yes to, but you were still like, oh man, this is gonna be fucking wild.
Well, the biggest no ever, and please don't anybody ever email me about this again, because I will rip you a new asshole.
And the fetish is ripping people new assholes.
I will put my foot so far up your butt. No, the animal crushing bullshit.
Oh yeah.
Do not. No.
I have a massive problem with that too.
Oh yeah.
And bugs included. I'm
Bugs
assuming?
included. I had somebody even ask about roaches or ants one time, and I told them no, just for the basis of I just won't do the genre at all. Now, roaches, okay, I live in Vegas. They're everywhere. You guys probably have them here in the summer.
Oh, I've seen them wear three-piece suits in Vegas.
Roaches are pretty plentiful in Vegas, even if you're...
Fist bumping and shit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty OCD, keep my house spotless. Like, I never leave crumbs on the counter or anything, and I'll still have an occasional roach running through my kitchen. So it's just one of those things. So I could easily squish roaches because I do that on my sidewalk every evening anyway, but I will not do a video of crushing anything that's a living, breathing thing.
I'm actually phobic of cockroaches. So just the idea of videos that have that happening freak me the fuck out.
Yeah.
But okay, and that makes sense because you're very much like I'm on your Tumblr, and I think we both we check each other's Tumblr. You do a lot of protection of animals. And stuff like that.
I'm big into the animal rights stuff.
Yeah. And so I could totally see that being the case. Now, has there been anything that you've been asked to do where you were like, man, I'm almost gonna say no to this, but fuck it, let's just give it a shot?
I had the first few were pretty vanilla, but then the gentleman kept ordering, and he was ordering pretty consistently for a while, and the custom started irking me a little bit because it was getting a little more sexual each time. Where first it started off where I was just talking to my dog. My pit bull, my 70-pound pit bull, would be in the video frame, and I'm literally like talking to him like he's a person. Well, then every time the gentleman will order another one, he would be asking me to lose a piece of clothes and then eventually be naked. And then eventually he wanted the dog closer to me. And then it was just getting like, I was like, I'm sorry. After about the 5th one, I'm like, I'm not comfortable with this.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You should have just like let him on though and see exactly where it
just
would
been
go.
like-
I was pretty sure I was seeing where it was going. Yeah. He wanted like the dog next to me on the couch while I'm like masturbating over it, and I was just like, this is getting a little like the dog's not coming that close to me while I'm nude. We're done with this.
And I'm pretty sure the dog can't like sign a tutu.
Yeah, no, the dog even looked embarrassed. Like he was like, why am I?
What are you doing, Mom?
Yeah.
Dogs are like that, dude. Like if I walk around my house naked, my dogs will look at me like, what the? Wait, there's
Where's
something-
your fur?
Yeah, yeah. Where's your funny joke fur on the chest and the denim fur at the bottom? But
See, my cats never mind when I'm naked. They think it's my natural state.
yeah, there you go. You heard it here first, folks. No, but yeah, shit. I'm with Jacqueline on this one. It's just been like, hey, oh, you know what? Send me your next 10 scripts and let me take a look at them and just see what the process is. Holy shit! No, that's a toughie. But yeah, fuck. No.
Yeah.
I think I'm on the same lines.
Masturbating over your dog fetish.
And that does go into the realm of the stuff that I don't understand, and the whole like anything that's torture to even people like an unwilling person or whatever.
Yeah, anything unwilling or unable to speak for itself and voice its feelings and give consent. Yeah,
Very true.
It's just a no-go.
And I stopped working with a model because I found out that she had been involved in like a animal torture thing.
I actually want to commend you on sticking to your guns about that, because there were several people in our industry that said the same thing, and
Went back to work with her, yeah. And I know one person who continues to work with her who never said anything about it, so at least I'm like, all right, well, you never sat there and said like fuck you and then turned it around and said like come work with me. I was so fucking like it really hit me because at first I thought it was a lie because I really liked this girl. I thought she was cool. I had nothing but fun times with her. And when I found out about it, it did take me a while to kind of go like, what do I do? Do it. And then when she started defending herself and saying that it was like, oh, well, I'm scot-free because of a statute of limitations. I'm like, that's not, then you still did it. It's just that now the law can't prosecute you. At no point did she say, I really regret this. I was young, I was stupid.
she tried to say she was on a lot of drugs in her early 20s, and she tried to blame some of it on being very intoxicated during those shoots. But I'm sorry, I'm not an angel. I've tried this, I've tried that. It never made me want to squish bunnies. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So,
it's not an excuse.
So I'm glad we both at least agree on that.
Yeah, we do.
Because I've had some fans who are like, when are you going to work with so-and-so again? And I'm like, it's just not going to happen, dude. It's not going to happen. Oh, but it's been so long. I'm like, nope, not at all. But yeah, that's a fucking, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
In terms of the fetish world now, actually we had a question that was going to pop up because we were talking about the grappling stuff. And a gentleman named James, last name is Head.
Oh, I know James. Hi, James.
He asked a question that I was actually going to ask, but I know yesterday we were trying to watch UFC and the fucking TV shit on us and started it stopped because it went overtime. So right when they were about to start the match,
Oh no.
it was like, and here they are. And people who are, they know that you have an interest in UFC and MMA. Obviously, with Ultimate Surrender, you've done grappling. You've brought your skill into that particular genre and into ours as well. But he wants to know what got you into MMA. He says wrestling, but we found out what got you into wrestling. But in terms of the MMA, what fighting in general, what martial arts are you skilled in?
I only claim skill in grappling and ground fighting because as far as stand-up, I've only taken maybe 4 total months, sporadically over time, maybe 6 months total here and there, but it was about 4 straight months of stand-up I did because, and James is one of the fans that knows, I don't know if you guys realized, because it was probably right after I saw you the last time around the same time, but I was supposed to do an amateur MMA fight, so I did like 4 months of stand-up to get ready for that, which was boxing and Muay Thai, and my stand-up's horrible. I haven't gotten down the head movement yet. My footwork's horrible. However, my punching strength is there. I'm told I punch like a man, so that's good. Other than that, my boxing's horrible.
What about the ground game? Like, is that more your strength?
Well, ground game wise, I've had much jiu-jitsu training. I'm roughly, without having actually tested, because I mostly do no-gi, so they don't give belts for no-gi at a lot of academies. So I'm roughly a high blue, low purple, depending on the day and like who my opponent is and stuff.
Have you ever wrestled? In terms of like the girls you've worked with, and doing, I guess, film matches or even sessions, have you encountered somebody who you're like, holy shit, this person's like really fucking...
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people don't give because they just look at us as fetish porn
they're
stars
like,
or whatever. But
what skills?
there's quite a few girls in the industry that don't get the credit for actually being like skilled submission artists, but like Ariel X, Vivi Lane, I mean, those two have had extensive training in real martial arts. Mistress Cara,
I think, who else do I know that Gia Primo's another one that but she's like trained, yet she does a lot of session work, so she's...
Yeah, I don't think... Is she trained?
I don't know, she's just...
I heard she used to take BJJ.
She used to, yeah.
I don't know how long ago. Tongue Tommy is a force to be reckoned with. I can't move that woman to save my life. Yes, there's a handful, I mean, that are legit problems for me when I get like I don't win all my matches by any means, trust me.
But it's fun to try.
Yeah.
So...
Well, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Because I started getting into the world of semi-competitive grappling, and I found that I really love it. Like, I would talk to the girls beforehand and just be like, I don't do this on the regular. I am not trained by any means, but I do have a competitive side. And, I'm not just going to, sit and take it, or I'm not going to just beat somebody up.
Sorry.
Honey.
No, keep talking.
I'm not going to beat up a girl just, because I'm stronger than them. Like, I actually enjoy the competitiveness of it. That being said, I'm very interested in kind of delving deeper into being, like, professionally trained. And, like, what would you recommend would be a good starting point for somebody that's, I have like, experience with wrestling and semi-competitive grappling, but, like, I don't know, like, where would you even start?
I would imagine there's some pretty good MMA schools or dojos or, academies. I mean, Atlanta's such a big, kind of happening city. And MMA and UFC is such a, mainstream thing now. I would imagine that if you just Google, I don't know what's here, but like whatever has the highest rating for, is it jiu-jitsu specifically you'd like to get into, or just grappling in general to learn more?
I think
skill?
Just the grappling. Like if I could learn how to do submission holds and like those crazy moves where, because I have a match not too long ago, and it was against Jinx, and she's not trained either, but she's done a bunch of session grappling matches, and she got me in a couple of holds that like weren't even like very technical. It was just a matter of like how she had her leg like hooked on my ankle. That was so painful. Like I couldn't do anything but just lay there, and I was like, I fucking give. I'm tapping out right now, and I can't even move. Like it was crazy. And it's like no effort at all. Like I want to know like those little, minute things.
Grappling would be a good, or jiu-jitsu, like she said. There's actually a school, our buddy Gary Pranzo, when he comes here, he tries to go like once.
Oh man. But when he goes, he comes back with like black eyes and stuff. Like that's intense. That's probably not the level that I'm looking to go for.
Yeah, you're looking for a beginner.
Yeah.
Well, see, one thing, and I've commented on this even at some of the places in Vegas that offer jiu-jitsu. Some places will offer beginner, intermediate, and advanced classes, but then some of them won't. And the ones that don't suck for the reason of a new person is getting thrown to the wolves, and they're not starting you by a base by base, like helping you start from the ground up. It's like whatever you show up for that day, say they're schooling arm bars that day. So you're new and the instructor's like, okay, well, we're doing this armbar today, and you're sitting there and you're new, and you're like, I don't know where to start because I'm a beginner and you're doing arm bars today. So it's like best to look if there's a spot that offers different levels.
Okay.
And then you can get the beginner basics. It's always better to know the basics before you start throwing a bunch of crazy submissions anyway. Which, of course, you probably already know just from doing what you've done. You probably know enough of the basics, but
Yeah.
Because there's some things that work, obviously, in theory, or like, not even theory, but like with more of the fantasy wrestling, you know, like Nexus and stuff like that work with like the Dom sessions and stuff, but you don't really see a lot of that in actual grappling. Like when you see two grapplers, I remember watching UFC when I was much younger. I'm like, I ain't doing no scissors. Go on.
you don't see scissors very often in it. However,
When you do lock in like a triangle or something like that, then that'll be it. But
Yeah.
like it's hard to do.
Yeah,
And
you
so,
have to get a scissor in the perfect spot to make it actually work for a competitive match, which I did actually just do in Germany. I was very shocked. I got a much larger. I think she was from Czech Republic. I got her to tap with a scissor in Germany
Was
2
it
weeks
Jenny?
ago. No, not Jenny Czech. No. I couldn't pronounce some of these girls' names. There was a handful of them, but it
Just
wasn't
one
Jenny.
girl in the Czech Republic, and it's Jenny.
It is the only one that matters.
What was it, like a body scissors or neck scissors? Or?
Body and a. I was actually shocked that she tapped in the reverse because it was like a moment where she was like really out of breath, and I just somehow got on top of her and just got her head really quick. So it was actually two separate. It was a body and a head that I got her to
Good
tap
job.
with. Yeah.
Good job. Like I said, I have no grappling experience. If you and I grappled, I'd be over pretty quick, I think. But I do find it fascinating at times to watch because it is like watching like a game of chess almost. You know, it's like this physical, mental chess. But we had like, my friend Carrie Spectrum, who you've worked with, and my friend Gio Primo, who's I've worked with and is a fucking beast. Like I scheduled a grappling shoot with them, and I wanted to film it because I was like, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen. Ended up being a really good match, but I think Carrie wants a rematch. I don't know. I'm gonna have to make that happen at some point. But that shit's insane. It's fun to watch. Like yesterday, I was watching it and it felt like a kid because I just kept screaming at the screen when someone got punched in the face for real. So I shoot so many fake punches. When you see someone take one like for real and like repeatedly in the face, it's a shock to the system. You're used to it, but like I was just watching like fuck, ow, dude, and the fact that these guys are taking shots and they're not just going down, they're fighting back. I'm like, you hit me once in the jaw, like I'm down. That's it. It's over.
How is that grappling getting punched in the face?
Well, it's I mean, what do they allow there? It's just pretty much anything except
In UFC?
yeah.
In UFC, they're allowed to do most things except strikes. No strikes or kicks to the back of the head. I think it's a rule where if the guy's already down and he's like on his back, you can't just walk up and kick him in the head. So like protection to the back of the head. They still
Didn't they outlaw like dick punching way back in the day?
I don't think it was ever a rule, but more of a man to man kind of
Like an honor thing.
Yeah, you would think like
Honor the
that's-
gonads.
If you just walk in and just straight kick someone in the dick and then the match is over, like that's not very sportsmanlike.
I would just love to see the faces on like the guys who paid $500,000 for that front row ticket, just to see like a scene from an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, oh, blah, and then ding ding ding. But no, I
the
remember
new ball busting champion
Dude,
is.
there would be old videos when UFC, I'm not going to say it was UFC, but when MMA was first hitting, these guys trapping each other in locks, and there's the fucking shorts, and they would just start punching.
Probably back in the Pride days.
Maybe.
Pride was brutal.
Fucking Christ.
Yeah, Pride didn't have nearly as many rules as UFC does now. That was
Okay.
like the start of like all of that.
Okay, because my friend was like, "Oh, you're gonna go watch UFC?" I'm like, "Isn't that? Don't they just call that sweaty dick punching?" And I'm like, "I don't think they do that anymore," which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already hard to watch for me. Someone taking a hit to the head, so the alternate is pretty bad. But so moving along, there's another topic that we mention a lot here. There's a couple of small ones that I think will be fun if you address them. So being someone that's been in the business now for, you said, almost 10 years, your biggest and we can exchange information on this, but your biggest pet peeves when it comes to either producers, models, or just you know, the whole world in general. Because a lot of girls and guys looking to get into the business, they think it's going to be all fucking, oh, I'm just going to go have fun, do these role play these things, get paid for it. But there's a lot of fucking shit that pisses people off.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Which area do you want me to rant about first?
Oh, man. I would say just like, and you don't have, obviously we don't have to name names, we can be respectful of that, but I've had certain experiences where I've chaperoned models and gone with them on trips and seen how other producers work versus the bad versus the good production experiences. And there's been some fucking nightmares. Like, seriously, like people who just no idea what they're doing. In my case, wrestling stuff where I'm seeing these guys do stuff that I know that was going to get the girl hurt. And I'd have to step in and be like, no, you can't do that. We're in a hotel room. These are flat mats. You can't take this kind of move, give this kind of bump. Well, why not? I'm like, because that'll impact the neck or the head or the shoulder. And they would get all belligerent and pissed off, and then the girls would get all fucking awkward. And that's just a nightmare for me because I have to step in and go like, dude, don't do it because you're gonna get somebody hurt. But I'm sure for models, there's got to be way worse in terms of just bad experiences.
Oh yeah.
We can start with sessions. Have you done sessions in the past?
Oh, I do lots of sessions.
Okay, so like sessions is a good one because I was talking.
Pet peeves about sessions.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, the email process is probably the most annoying for me because some of these people try to just email to talk about their fantasy and not pay me and think that I have 5 hours email back and forth like we're text messaging, and we're not fucking text messaging, guys. Okay, so it's like I made a rule. If you have not sent your session deposit by the 5th to 10th email, and the 10th I'm being nice if I'm drawing it out that long, but that's just if we're, I don't know, trying to figure out which hotel it's going on at or whatever, so it's taking longer. If you have not sent your session deposit before the 10th email, I'm done. We're cut off. If we have not scheduled it, I'm done talking to you because it's just... I think some people get off on time wasting, like they legitly enjoy it for some reason, and I just have zero tolerance for that anymore. I've been doing it way too long, and I do not have enough hours in the day for time wasters.
I think Jacqueline and I get a lot of that with custom requests as well.
Yeah, same thing with customs. If they haven't sent their custom money again after like the 5th to 10th email, I'm done.
I've had one dude who has emailed me repeatedly for the last, I would say, year, and the emails are very short, and they always ask the same question. Is so-and-so available to be Supergirl, and is so-and-so available to fight against her? And I would say yes. A day later, is so-and-so available to be Supergirl? It's all different girls, and that's all. He would never send a script. He just ask me, is this girl available? Is this girl available? And I would finally, I just stopped fucking writing back. But to this day, he still sends those every couple of days.
Like, no, she isn't available. I killed her.
Yeah. No, I can relate because there's a couple people, and I have seen... Sometimes they'll change their email just slightly, but it's like still the same wording, but like with an extra dot or something. And it's like, dude, I know it's you. You're asking the same question that you've been asking me for 5 years, and you've still never met with me, never paid for anything, never whatever. So yeah, but like the same stupid guy that keeps sending, can your scissors crush me? And what it's like, will you just fucking get a session and find out already? Because I'm not answering you.
It's pure lip service.
Yeah.
Tell me what you would do to me in a session.
Yeah.
How about we do a session and you find out.
So, yeah, I have zero tolerance for time wasters anymore. I used to try to be nice. I've played the game, but I started adding up. If I spend 2 to 5 minutes a day answering someone's repeated email, and then you add up all the minutes that you wasted on that person, before you know it, you just wasted an hour of your life on this one person that has done nothing for you but aggravate you. And I'm sorry, guys. Like, I appreciate the real fans that want to actually be people and go forth with stuff, not these people that want to be these keyboard warriors or these dicks in their hands.
And one-handed typing.
I'm like, sorry, I just don't have the time for it anymore.
Yeah, we call it the one-handed typing.
Yeah.
Phenomenon. But in terms of obviously those are the pet peeves of the session world. But I'm sure that
sessions and ordering customs.
Yeah, but I'm sure you've had some great experiences with sessions?
Oh, no, absolutely. I've met some amazing people, and I try to think of those people when the irritating people start to get me down. I try to think of all the wonderful people that I've also met over the years.
Do you feel that, did you get like more of a perspective on fetish when you started working with sessions and hearing other people's
Yes.
origins?
When some session clients will open up to me and mention where they think that their fetish came from, or tell like a childhood story of, oh, well, my female cousin used to always pin me down and I couldn't get up, and like, so it's interesting to hear those things and understand.
Has there ever been an origin story that just kind of stood out to you where you're like, wow, that's really interesting, without putting the person on blast, obviously? Because I'm fascinated by people's where shit starts, like where something clicked. I always ask my fans, like, oh, well, you like the specific kind of, like, I don't know, denim. This girl has to wear these jeans, or has to wear this kind of, like, what was the start of that? And so you always get some interest. It's never the same story twice.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
I'm
It's always
highly
unique.
intrigued to hear anybody's, like, start of their fetishes, because it's always something, like, really specific. And it's like this moment where, like, they watch something, and then in that point in time, it just clicked with them and never left their psyche. And they'll want to see it, and like most of the guys are just like, it needs to be this certain way, she needs to be wearing this certain thing, saying this thing, like looking this way, and it's just like over and over again different girls doing that same thing. And it's pretty fascinating to me.
And there's people who have that one specific fetish where, like, let's say it is just pedal pumping, or then it starts to branch out to like pedal pumping with this particular kind of dress, or this particular kind of pantyhose, or this particular kind of car. Stuff like that. That always fascinates me, because, like, with me, my personal tastes are, like, fucking everywhere. There's a myriad of things that I love. It's not just the one thing of, like, I really like female wrestling, or I really like pins or knockouts or whatever. And so I always am curious to hear, like, stories behind that. And I was going to see if you had any that popped out at you where you were like, holy shit, that's how that happened.
Well, again, as just like earlier, I've heard so many interesting ones that now I'm trying to. Now I'm drawing a blank.
I'm writing all these down too. I'm like,
on
what was the
some
first
of
one?
best.
The first one that she was like, I can't think of one.
Oh man,
I think you were asking my.
this is a very gray day for
My-
us today, folks.
My brain is really foggy today.
Oh, dude. For those who
We're
aren't,
all
need to
on
understand,
guard.
it's like fucking 30 degrees outside. It's raining. It's wet and disgusting. And
All day.
Yeah.
this is one of those, stay
We're
inside.
all on the foggy brain train today.
And we were up really late,
I was
working
definitely
and,
up late
and
last
hanging
night.
out. Yeah. So in terms of video production and stuff like that, is there any particular pet peeves, anything that has hit you where you were like, this is just a really terrible experience, or maybe not to be negative, but just kind of like, this was a very positive experience?
Well, I've had many, many, many amazing experiences, of course, with people who are very professional and fun and down to earth. One thing that I've noticed that has all been a factor in some of the negative experiences have been the fact that how Clips for Sale, and them being one of the originals, and now there's other sites like that have trickled down, that has given the power to people with cameras who shouldn't have it. There's some people that just because Clips for Sale is such an easy format, any Joe Schmo Blow can go get a video camera, or now use his smartphone, because our phones are like now, 4K and whatever.
You can put you can put lenses on your iPhone.
Yeah.
Like, you can get like wide angle lenses and shit like that.
Yeah, I've actually been collecting on Cyber Monday. Ordered a bunch of pieces for my cell phone to make my Snapchat better.
Oh.
So, biggest peeve being, and I don't mean this condescendingly towards anybody, but basically fanboys who Clips for Sale gave power to open clip stores, who are just forum drama kings and just they are not professional people and should not be hiring models and putting models' safety in
So these are
whatever.
people who were like fans to begin with. They
Fans
bought a camera.
noticed how easy it was to throw up a clip store, but their mentality to start with was never professional, so they just shouldn't be doing it. So unfortunately, Clips for Sale, and that's why there's I don't know what's the numbers up to
Oh,
now,
Jesus.
180,000 or whatever stores now. I don't even know because I haven't been on lately.
No,
but
yeah.
that's my biggest pet peeve. There's plenty of people that should not have clip stores. But other than that,
It's it's like a microcosm of the internet too, because everyone said that about the internet recently. Like in the internet, on the internet, everyone's a star. Mm-hmm. Everyone has their own Vine. Everyone has their own Instagram. Everyone has their own Twitter. Everyone's saying things that they want the world to hear, but not all of them are worth hearing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same thing with clips for sale. And I would never talk myself up to be this masterful producer. I think that what I shoot is good for what I do. But you're right. There are sometimes I'll occasionally, like someone will be like, "Hey, have you seen this store?" And I'll go check it out, and I'm like, I can't even tell what's going on in the picture. Like,
Yeah, you can't even tell like who is in the picture. Like,
there was this
Who
one
was that
company.
exactly?
I'm not going to name the company, but this guy said, "Oh, there's these two beautiful, very exotic, dark-skinned girls that I would love for you to hire if you can find out where they are." So he sent me a link to a clips for sale store, and it was something like, I don't know what the name, but it had the exotic name word in there. And they have like, you can do GIFs now, and like you do preview clips, I think. So I hit the GIF, and I think they were on a bed of some sort, and it was the grainiest, darkest, like if someone just took their phone and put like I don't know, maybe like a little black pad over it and started filming. And I was like, how the fuck are you going to take that and put it up for sale and expect it to sell?
$25.99
For 13 minutes. So that one in terms, and you and I talked about that yesterday at length, and there are to catch Jacqueline up, we're kind of talking about people who are producers, quote unquote, but they thrive on basically rumor mills, talking shit, going on forums, going on Twitters, basically just criticizing everybody in the world and yelling shit at them.
a couple of those.
Yeah, and instead of actually producing things that are worth the shit, they just spend most of their time doing what she said, just doing the whole like sewing circle, talking shit to the other two producers who care. And
neither of which are relevant either.
Exactly.
So it's like,
but the great thing about that, you just ignore them, and
Yeah.
they just kind of shrivel up and die and go away, and you can move forward. But it is
some of them hang on for years though before they go away.
fucking barnacles.
I'm like, how old are you? Are you ever going to grow up? Because that was like 6 years ago.
Yeah, it's like, why don't you buy some lights and a white balance card, dude?
Yeah, but when you air your dirty laundry out like that for the entire world to see on the internet, like, people are on to you. Like, your customers will see how you treat people and how you talk to them, and like, that matters to them. Like, thankfully a lot of fans have been like, okay, this producer's fucking nuts, and like, I don't like their content much anyway. Like, they probably just bought a video or two just because they had a particular girl that another company couldn't get because she was local or whatever. And then after they see this stuff, it's like, you do realize it's hurting your name, like your brand name.
We have a
So,
rival.
please, like, continue to do what you keep
Yeah.
doing. Just bury yourself deeper into
Keep
that
making
hole.
yourself look psycho. That's all.
There was
Yeah.
I had a fan who contacted me and said, "Hey, this rival producer just spent like an hour trash talking you to me, trying to get me to dislike you." And he was like, "I don't even know this person," and he's acting like it's a high school thing. Like, stop talking to him, talk to me instead. And he was so blown away that a human adult would try to do that, that he was like, I just fucking blocked the dude. Like, I didn't, like she said, I didn't even like his stuff to begin with. Like, had a couple of pretty girls in there, but it sucked. And now he's sitting there trash talking you. I don't even know you. I don't even know him. What the fuck? And I was just like, it is what it is, man. And he's like, all right, well, thank you for not being crazy. I'll keep, keep up the good work.
Yeah. That is the one thing I do love about this industry, is that, like, you get to, talk to the fans and they get to connect with you. And it's like, I mean, that kind of customer service goes a long way, because, like, even as, if you're just a model and then you have, your clip store and you're starting out, like, if you treat your customers like crap, like, they're probably not going to like you, which means they're probably not going to buy your stuff, no matter how hot you are or whatever.
Yeah.
And I love connecting with my fans. I love talking to the good ones that, I feel like are worth my time, that we can exchange stories and they give me good ideas and we talk about the fetish. And then those are people that I feel like enhance my production company. So, I mean,
Have you encountered any fans like that where you just kind of gone like, okay, this person's really cool?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have a handful that I talk to almost daily on Twitter. We tell each other good morning, have a good day, you know, like it's that solid handful that have like always been there, you know, that we, you know, just legitly can talk about, oh, well, what did you do today, you know? Like and that
There's some good eggs out there.
Yeah, no, you definitely have to think about the good ones and just laugh at the bad ones because they'll bury themselves eventually and hopefully shrivel up and go away. But some of them are pretty tenacious and like to hang on.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Until then, we'll just laugh.
Yeah, we'll just keep laughing. It's all
Keep
good.
laughing. Obviously we, you know, Jacqueline and I produce what could be safely called like female mixed wrestling fetish stage combat. Jacqueline does like sleepy fetish, damsel in distress kind of peril. What would you call it? What would be sleepy? I would say mostly sleepy fetish, right?
I mean, that's my forte, is the sleepy fetish, knockouts, carries, everything that's surrounding that. The thing that I love about my videos is that I can incorporate all different kinds of other fetishes with the sleepy fetish. Like, there's a huge pantyhose fetish. There's a super heroine fetish. There's the whole damsel in distress thing, too. I could throw bondage in there if I want to.
Same thing with wrestling, yeah. Just like get somebody tied up after a match, which they used to do on WWE way back in the days, like fucking hog tie matches or whatever they were. Or, you know, you tie two dudes together and they have to fight with the rope wrapped around them and shit like that. So there's all these elements that broke in, but the question I was going to bridge from that is because you've worked with both of us. Are those big genres for you in terms of your fans? Is it sleepy and wrestling? Is that something you get a lot to do? I mean, no, wrestling, obviously.
Wrestling, obviously. Sleepy, not as much, but I did shoot a few of my own kind of limp play type videos in the past year, and I don't think the one has gone up yet, but one of them did, and it actually sold really well for me, which made me want to shoot more of it for myself. I just haven't been shooting content, so I might do more of that in the future.
I'm always really jealous of that. I always tell Jacqueline, I was like, because I don't get asked to lose. There's one guy or two guys who'll be like, oh, I want you to do a match where you lose, and I'm like, all right, send me money, and they don't. And there's another guy who wants me to wear like this really over-the-top kind of Superman costume, and I'm just like, I can do that, but then he wants me to like shave my fucking goatee and do all this stuff. And
yeah, that's a deal breaker.
In terms of the limp stuff, I always get jealous because I'm just like, dude, it'd be great to just sit there and pretend to be asleep.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Have somebody just manipulate you and like, you know. So any fans out there, if you have a secret
desire
desire to see that,
we have had some girls that we would work with, and you would think that it would be like the easiest job ever, just lay there, do nothing. But a lot of girls have a hard time with separating themselves from what's going on. So they'll kind of get a little nervous and stiffen up, and they'll be anticipating where their hands or whatever or legs need to go, and they'll help you. For some reason, it's like they can't disconnect that.
Probably a natural reaction.
They'll do this number where they like lift the hand, you let go, and they're like
still up there.
It's still up there for a few seconds before it drops. And that working with Jacqueline kind of made me realize that it's doing sleepy stuff well is a skill. Like, it's a real skill, and being able to
damn right it is.
Being able to control like when you do, like, we did knockout stuff with you yesterday for certain moves and holds, your reactions, your body reactions, your facial reactions, your sounds are like right on point. But I think it's because you've done it so much that you've perfected it to a degree. But I've worked with girls. We had one girl that came over, bless her heart. I love her to death. She's really sweet. But she came over and she sold well for me, but we did a thing with Jacqueline, and all it was this guy wanted to see a lot of this where you kind of wiggle her wrists around, and she couldn't. She was like,
she was too stiff.
Too stiff.
Yeah.
And I'd had a really long day. I felt a little sick. I was really tired, and I was like, and
that was like a 30-minute custom.
It's a 30-minute custom of a lot of that, and a lot of completely dead limb play, a lot of carries. Carries I could do, but when it came to moving the limbs around, she was stiff as a board. And I don't get frustrated easily, but I just kind of almost did, and I was just like, wanted to be like, what's wrong with you? But I understood that.
That's when we broke out the chloroform for real. And the shoot went great after that.
Yeah, it was great. Then we went to jail and we laughed. But yeah, like something as simple as just getting your wrist to just kind of do that was a big deal for this girl, and I understood it. Some people, it's are maybe a little more wound up, and for them to just kind of let themselves go like that, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Did you have any problems doing Sleepy at the beginning? Like,
I'm trying to remember like when the very first time I ever did it was, and I have had people comment on me in the past that, well, and I know just from getting massages and stuff, I'm a naturally tense person. I don't know if it's like just, but I am all the time. Like I even notice like sometimes I'll have a hard time relaxing before bed. I'm just always go, go, go and just always tense and stuff. So I can see how that could be a thing. And I don't remember it specifically being an issue for me, except, and I think this happened last time I worked for Jackie, was actually, because I think it happened over here by your couch.
Man.
One of us was a limp. I think it was you, or you had me working with another girl, and she was very limp, and I went to kind of pick her up from down low, like either the couch or the floor.
Yeah.
And the limp and the deadness, and it's just too heavy and awkward sometimes to do the lift and carries with the limp bodies.
Yeah.
It is tough.
Yeah.
It is tough.
That's the hardest thing about it for me.
Oh, I don't blame you on that. Like,
well,
I
you have to have a certain level of Tiny picked you up for a bear hug yesterday, where he just fucking you almost.
I flew yesterday.
Yeah, the back of your feet almost hit the ceiling. Like he was like, "Rah!" And you're like, "What?"
But with wrestling, at least like you can post for things and
Yeah.
jump, and you can help the other person. Like with the Sleepy stuff, it's just
You
all
can't.
one-sided
Yeah.
because. I mean, it kills the fantasy for people when they see the other girl just like, putting my arm here and I'm going to help you. Like, then she doesn't look like she's out. So, fantasy gone. So, yeah, it's tough. And, like, I do remember that now because I was just like, hey, I know you're really strong and I know you can pick up girls, no problem. So, can we just try this?
I think I was in heels, and that made it
Oh, man.
way harder. Yes.
I'm such a dick. I'm sorry.
Lift and carry in heels is, it doesn't matter how strong you are. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I hope I wasn't too much of a slave driver or anything.
Oh no, by
Fucking
no
do
means,
this
no.
or else the shoot is over.
No.
No, but that was the whole point. Is there's a skill to it.
Yeah.
I mean, even being able to. I've worked with girls. I worked with a girl a couple weeks ago where it was 3 girls. I was or 2 or 3 girls, and I was doing 3 different carries. And it was almost like porridge, like in that fucking in Goldilocks. It was just like one girl completely dead weighted me, the other girl helped me way too much, and the third one was just fine.
Just right.
Like she knew how to look limp while still pushing off with her feet enough, so when I lifted her, it wasn't a full dead weight lift. But I realized that in itself is a skill. So it's always funny when you see people who go like, I can do that, and then they film a carry scene, and the girl's clutching onto the person that's carrying her, like holding on for dear life. Her legs are all stiff, and I like. Now Jacqueline has me watching movies in a completely different way. If I see a carry in a film, I'm
You're
just
welcome.
like I'm like taken out of the movie because I'm just like watching Hannibal, and I'm like, oh, she's totally holding on to him. Oh, what the fuck is that about?
Right?
She won an Oscar? What the fuck? You
Doesn't
know.
it kill it for you? It's like,
Well,
she's still awake.
Like watching a chloroform scene in a movie, and they cut away from the face.
yeah.
And then you're kind of going like, what? Dude, that's the money shot. But you realize, no.
And this is where I step in.
Well,
that's the artistic shot.
oh yeah. Well, like last night we were talking about some Quentin Tarantino movies and the foot scenes, specific foot scenes.
Yeah.
And
Such a subtle use of feet in those films.
But I do the same thing when I'm watching mainstream stuff now. I'll start being like, oh, that was a shitty hard cut they just did. Or they picked up, well, that was a shitty angle. Why'd they do that? And yeah, so now, like, in our position, our brains totally work like that all the time now.
Yeah. No, I
funny.
use that as a source of inspiration because I see stuff like that and it frustrates me because I'm like, man, if we could only see that part in the movie, like, it would be so good. And so it kind of gives me, like, ideas for the next time I'm going to do a shoot because I'm like, here's what I would want to see.
Now, is there anything that you were talking about this? Actually, this just popped in my head because you said, like, watching movies, I would have been like, hey, that balloon just popped next to that girl's face, but she looks scared. That's not how it's supposed to go. You know, she's supposed to be happy or, you know, but,
No, balloons are scary. It's
Oh,
fucking dangerous.
I believe
just
you.
did a shoot the other day, me and Kayla, and we walked out of that shoot with welts, bruises, scars.
Oh yeah, they will pop on you
Her
hard.
finger started bleeding. It was like, what's going on?
Yeah, balloons are brutal.
They are. It's dangerous.
But the question is there been anything that you've encountered on a shoot that has interacted with a personal phobia where you're like, I don't know if I could do this?
Well, the only shoot I ever straight up walked off set on. I mean, there's been several that I've wanted to, but I've kept my cool and kept my professionalism and just made it to the end and decided, okay, I'm just not going to contact this producer again. But the only one I straight up walked off of and was sick to my stomach had to do with the person we were talking about earlier about the animal stuff.
Oh, okay.
The fellow who filmed the videos that she was in hired me.
Oh, wow.
I totally did not realize
that it was him.
I didn't realize it was the same guy, and I didn't realize. Well, he hired me before that story hit the news, so it was like the August before, because that hit the news in the spring. It was like April of that year.
Yeah.
If you recall the
I
time period, it was like April. The
Oh,
August before that, so it was the Fetish Con before that hit the news. She had put me in contact with this gentleman, and I did not know that it was the same guy. I did not know the extent of the stuff that he did. I show up to this farm, and
oh no,
fucking A.
Yeah, I show up to the farm. Now, granted, it was like a good 2.5 hours south of Tampa, like in the sticks. Like this place.
That's what I heard
yeah, hidden back in the sticks in a swamp, where from the road you would never know that any of this stuff is going on back there.
Oh yeah,
like, these animals were in like an animal prison camp, so to say.
Man.
So I show up.
What kind of a shoot did you think that you were going for?
Well, I was hired to do horse riding fetish, and he was excited to have me because of my horse riding experience. I've been riding since I was like, I don't know, 8 or something. So when I looked at the previews on his website don't show abuse necessarily, because like you're not really going to have that on the front page, you know?
Yeah.
It was like nude and topless girls riding like bareback horses, and you know, there was sex appeal about it without it being too bestiality type. So I was like, oh, I can do that. I didn't think anything of it. I show up, and he has one horse that is old and crippled, should not be being ridden. It hadn't had its hooves properly trimmed. They were all long and like mangly, and like I went to school for horse training and like nutrition and like stable management and stuff. So pulling into that place and like initially seeing what was standing in that little, I was like,
red flag.
So all right, let's see what this is all about. So I go in, and we did and this was kind of cool because I'd never done this before, and I grew up around guns, and my father's a hunter and stuff. So the first clip that we did had to do with like almost like gun fetish. I was literally being filmed like shooting some targets over a pond, and all that was fun. But
Yeah,
then,
that's very common too. Yeah.
yeah, and it had a little sexual appeal with it. Like I was naked and I was like rubbing the gun on myself, and like all that was fine. I didn't shoot myself, so that went fine. So, but
as long as you rubbed it on yourself like before you fired it.
yeah, no. So that was all fun and whatever. But then the next things, when he showed me examples on his computer of what length the horse riding stuff went to.
Oh no.
Basically, it ends up being the woman is dominating the horse. Well, it gets to where, okay, you know when you put the bit in the horse's mouth?
Yes.
There's ways of riding, and coming from a training background, like I know all this stuff, where you can ride a horse with a bit in its mouth without hurting it. You don't jerk on it, you know what I mean? Because then it just digs in, it cuts their lips and all this shit. So to dominate these horses and ponies, he encourages the girls to on their face and like be all mean with the bit and spur them and whip them, and just like femdom to the horse and to the pony. And I was like, dude, I'm not okay with this. Like this is not what I do with my horses. No.
Yeah, that's not cool.
I'm like, this pony has a tumor under its belly. This old horse shouldn't be ridden and needs its hooves trimmed. I was like, just pay me for the gun scene. I'm leaving. And I left. And it was the same guy.
Oh, wow.
The same guy that had the girls doing the crush the 10 years before. Same guy.
Fuck.
You handled that much cooler than I thought you
Well,
might have.
I was there by myself with him.
And his guns on the property.
It was kind of like one of those things where I was like, I'm just going to leave. Just give me $200 and I'm going to leave. Because he had me booked for the whole day. It was like a long, like it was like going to be like an $800 day kind of day rate. And I was like, dude, just give me $200. I'm leaving. So, and then I called said model afterwards and I said, I don't know how much you know about animal welfare, but that is not okay, and I don't appreciate you sending me there, because she like recruited me to him. So
Shit.
That's my story about the only time I ever walked off a set in 10 years.
And justifiably so.
Good Lord. Well, shit. Okay. Well, that's a wrap. No, I'm kidding. There's another.
It would have been so much better if it was like, you know, like a sub and he wanted you to dom him.
Oh yeah, I
He
would
was
have put the
ponying
pony.
about.
Yeah,
I
you
would
would've
have
put
put the bit in a dude's mouth and whipped
It's
a dude around.
It's a consenting fucking adult.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's somebody who knows what he's in for. Like, I mean, when you
Why
see
does
these.
it have to be an actual horse? Why?
Well, this guy obviously has something about.
Ugh.
There's something in his psyche that gets him off to watch actual animals get hurt.
God damn.
And to me, like you're an animal activist. I wouldn't call myself an activist, but I'm definitely very protective of animal rights and their welfare. I could never ever kill an animal. I got taken hunting when I was younger. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And my friends who try to defend hunting to me, I always go like, let's not talk about it. 'Cause this is not going to go anywhere. You're not going to convince me different. You know, in a world now where you can just go to a store and fucking buy meat, there's no reason unless you want to, show off the size of your dick with how many fucking points an antler has on your wall, or the lack of size in your dick. So I don't get into that with my friends, but like that I heard that was happening, that even existed, blew my mind, and it made me so fucking angry. I mean, we were in Hawaii when we heard about it.
Yes, we were.
Because I was getting very limited connection. I was getting tidbits of the story, and we were very doubtful at first that it really was. I'm like, this has got to be something.
I was in Los Angeles when I heard. It's funny how we remember where we were when we heard that.
Yeah, it's like
it was
a big
shocking.
deal.
Yeah.
It's the 9/11 of the fetish world.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Bunny Gate. 2013.
Never forget.
Never forget. Hashtag.
Never fur.
No. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Hashtag hair raising.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really wanted it to not be true
Oh yeah, me too.
because I liked this girl and I'd had fun shooting with her.
And also a producer that we're very close to was he was called out because they made a news report about what had happened, and they showed clips that she did with this other producer. And so there was this whole big worry about like, oh God, like now they're going to be focusing on this fetish and saying that, this fetish is tied in with this other thing that she did.
Yeah, bad media.
Yeah. Oh my God. Fuck you, media.
Yeah, media's stupid.
Fuck you.
But yeah, so that like I'll stick the landing on that by saying that it really pissed me the fuck off. And hearing this story just that's even worse, man. It's like, give me a fucking break. Like there's of all the shit that's out there, like I don't get it. I don't get it. And that is one of the ones that I think, like you said, certain fetishes where if someone tries to explain it to me, I will never be able to say like I'm cool with that. I mean, even stuff like we were talking to Sin Sage about like her do's and don'ts and a couple other models, and I love the do's and don'ts, but there's certain things I used to not understand, but now I'm okay with. Like people like into certain bodily fluids being expelled onto other people. I'm like, I take your point of view where it's like if they're consenting adults, let them do it. No one's getting hurt. I would never do that, and I'd never be in the room while that's happening because I'd probably like run out and blah.
Hey, save it. Don't waste it.
Said, "Young, are you feeling a little queasy? Well, we got room 3 over there, and the cameraman's ready. There's a bucket and everything. It's fantastic." So the other question I got, this actually relates to how far fetish can go, and you're okay with it. A guy named Bernard, Bernard. Hello, Bernard. Dear Cheyenne, how do you feel about doing necro? Is it comfortable or attractive to you, or is it off-putting? Have you done it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I've done a small handful of it, most recently for a guy whose company is called Rapsha House. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that right. RAPTCHA.
Q.
I believe is I think he mostly does the nicheclips.com,
Yeah.
Okay.
nicheclips.com.
Yep.
Real quick for you guys who don't know what necro is, I don't know who wouldn't, but I live in this world and you guys live in yours. It's basically fantasy death fetish kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What did you do? Shooting, strangulation?
He does a lot of strangulation. He goes outside of his home and does like a lot of, we'll go to like these really quiet little parks or nature reserves and kind of do like the kidnapping, the strangling in the woods kind of.
Awesome.
So to answer your question, Bernard, I've done a handful of that, most recently with that company, and I'm trying to remember who else in the past. I know there's a couple model producers that do it as well, and I've done some of it for like strangling, dying type stuff, and it's not off-putting at all because as long as the fans watching it aren't going to go and try to do it for real, then I have absolutely no problem with it. If you're just playing it, and I think it's a perfectly safe role play if you don't take it too far.
No, yeah, I feel like that's part of our role. Like, we're doing people a service because we're providing that need for it. And I mean, with that fetish, so that's a good question.
We discussed it before, but yeah.
Because funny enough, I was going to ask if you wanted to do a necro clip with me today, which we'll have to wait for that.
Dun, dun,
dun. So backtracking with my story, I started doing necro clips from the get-go. Like, that was my first ever fetish video experience, was doing necro.
That's a different thing to get started with.
It really is. And, you know, I worked with this company that they were up in Toronto, and we had full day shoots, and we were like shooting for like, you know, a full week, and we had a whole cast with us, and it was like kind of being on like a low budget like movie set, because we had scripts and I had dialogue to memorize, and, you know, and there was characters and storylines, and it was pretty dynamic and fun. And then, you know, the killing part, to me, like, it never really seemed off-putting, because I mean, I'm a very open-minded individual, and, like, you know, I have a niche clip store, and I see the different types of movies that are on there, and it's
Honey,
like,
I didn't know this about you.
Who are you kidding? And, you know, there's something to be said for, like, you know, the power struggle and things ending in that demise. There's something like beautiful about seeing like a woman, a very beautiful woman, like writhing and being sexy and moaning and groaning before like her last breath. Mm-hmm. There's something that's very glamorous about it and very stylized, which is the kind of stuff that I started doing in Toronto. And I carry that into the necro stuff that I do. Like, I don't do any gore or blood or special effects. I kind of keep it a little bit more on like the campy side, but still very like feminine and sexy. But I can appreciate it, and I can see why it would be appealing. Now, I'm not into like if a girl dies and then she's getting fucked in every hole available. Like, all right, that's taking it a little too far.
Let me go ahead and cancel that customer request for Jacqueline tomorrow.
Oh, so that was you, fucker. But I, you know, to each his own, and I'm not knocking anybody that does that, because like the companies that do that on niche clips, they do it very well. And like their sets, I mean, they have like, you know, a whole morgue set, and I'm like, that's fucking impressive. Like the lengths that they go to make it seem like it's a realistic thing. I mean, to each his own. I'm not judging.
Of course not. No, and like I said, that's another one of those things where I always go back to the consenting adult aspect of it. And
for sure.
And I do think that those videos maybe have done the opposite. I think they've de-stressed people's desires to do that. But I also don't think people who look at niche clips are people who want to kill. I think it's just they have this fantasy that they want to view something and have it fulfilled that way.
Right.
And I think people who want to kill are just going to go out and fucking kill.
Yeah,
there was no niche clips when Jack the Ripper was around. He didn't watch porn. He fucking went out and killed because he wanted to do it.
But like, if you've ever seen like some of the inspiration where this all comes from, it's everything that you would see in television and movies. And it's always like these beautiful women, like, you know, getting shot and just looking so gorgeous, like, you know, trapped in stillness.
Like Italian horror films in the 70s were all about men with black gloves stalking beautiful women in their fucking lingerie, strangling them with like tight ropes, and like the Italians were not good at cutting away. They would do shots. I would have people send me reference clips and go like, "Can you do a strangulation like this?" And it would be like the girl would get strangled, tongue all the way out, and there'd be just drool like falling out, like in foam, and they would not cut away. And it was like a Dario Argento film or something. And it's like this shot of the girl's face, and she's just doing the full strangulation, eyes bulging, all this shit coming out of her mouth, and they would not cut.
And then a single tear.
Yeah, and then you would see, like, imagine, what if some kid's like 12 years old or something and sees that and suddenly, like, click, that's what he's into. So it's not that he wants to kill, maybe he just thought the way she was dressed was sexy compared, and at the same time this was happening. And I've noticed a lot of people who tell me about their fetishes, there's two things from two different sides that just kind of collide. So it's like, this girl was wearing a really cute bikini, but also she kicked me in the nuts one day, and jokingly, but hit me for real. So now I have a fucking ball-busting fetish with cute girls in bikinis kicking me in the nuts. And it's never that cut and dry, but I understand it. And I think if you're watching these clips because you want to fulfill that fantasy and have a release, I think it's healthy. As opposed to just you sitting there in the corner thinking about it for days and days and days.
It's absolutely more healthy to explore it in a positive way. And actually, you just reminded me of one of my more weird situations that made me uncomfortable.
See, and this is where the podcast gets rolling.
You just reminded me of a couple situations. So
please do tell.
I have had more than one session client, and when you think of the stereotypical mommy in porn, like the women that get cast for the MILF scenes, it's generally someone who is bustier or curvier and looks like a mommy. I obviously have a different build, so it's a little strange to me that I've had more than one session client do this, but it's like they...
Can I interject a quick question?
Sure.
Side question?
Yep.
Do you get... once again, I keep bringing Sin Sage up because every time we podcast with her, she's fucking great. She talked about working with you and really enjoying working with you.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
And she loves the fact that you have small breasts.
Yeah, she did a film with me one time that she directed for. It was called Sin Sage's A-Cup Beauties or something. Yeah,
yes. She told me about that, and she loves, like, when she heard that Jackie had had hers done, she was like, no. But then she loves your tits. So, the question, I'm totally deviating, but the question I had
now
was,
you got me thinking about Sin Sage talking about my boobs.
she's like one of our dearest fucking pals. But like we did, so my question was, do you get a lot of specialty customs because you're not, triple D or?
I don't know that my boobs get me any more or any less customs compared to other boobs, but
because you have a very athletic build, and it seems like there's less of that around. And so if like a guy goes like, I want to see a girl who just has beautiful small breasts, fit body, can you get somebody like that? And be like, oh yeah, Cheyenne Jewel.
Well, I definitely have the fan base who has told me over and over and over, because I did kick around getting my boobs done for many, many years. I kicked it around for most of my career.
I just heard Sensei scream.
Oh no, she already told me what she thought about that. So at this point, I'm gonna say that I'm over it, and since I haven't done it, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
At this point, I see absolutely zero point. I'm happy with myself. I'm very happy with kind of how my body's been shaping out with my newest fitness routine. I'm really happy with that.
Oh, I showed Jacqueline photos from yesterday, and he was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I definitely switched up and have been like a little more focused on kind of more the body building aspect. I've been, targeting different muscle groups, and it's been really interesting to me to see the progress. It's always cool when and it makes you want to work out more when you're like, oh, this is actually working. Shit. Okay,
yep.
Like you're happy with your progress. So this year I took a little different approach, and I don't think I really even care about fake boobs anymore. So to answer your question, I don't know.
That's a selling point.
I'd imagine to the people who love small boobs or prefer natural in general, it is. Or that just like the athletic in general without the fake boobs being put on the athletic body. So I definitely have had the huge handful of fans over the years that have told me, don't do it, that's something I like.
You just said huge handful.
Huge handful of fans that like small boobs, I'm sure.
Huge handful that like small boobs.
Or they've just liked me for other reasons, like they're not as much of a boob guy, but they're a butt guy or a leg guy or an athletic guy in general, so they don't really care about boobs.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes total sense. All right, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I remember before I had my surgery done, and as just a little, like, consensus just for my own like curiosity, I did ask some of my fans like what would they think if I went ahead and got my boobs done, and a lot of them basically told me, people like me for me, and like no matter what I do to myself, like as long as it's still me, like they're still gonna, you know, appreciate me and you know, go with whatever changes that I go through because it's still me. And I took that to heart because like if people were just, you know, so fixated on a particular look that I had and I couldn't break away from that. And a lot of girls will do that because it's like they have their trademark image, like hair color or like their body type, and it's like they should stick to it. Like I would, of course, you know, take that into consideration. But I mean, that was what, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
And I like, when I look at myself then and to what I am now, it's like I was a girl, now I'm a woman.
But to continue, so there's a couple of these stories that.
So the mommy fetish.
Yes.
I've never felt like I quite fit into that genre. I don't ever plan on having human babies of my own. I'm too.
Can you give a couple of the uninformed fans just a quick brush up on the mommy fetish?
Oh, okay. So just in general, you like, I guess, seeing the mommy figure being there. Well, there's different things that go along with it because then it can also go into adult baby or diaper fetish, or there's you know, the different subgenres that can go along with the mommy fetish. So in general, it's just not my thing. I'm not really comfortable, like, because I don't ever see myself as that mommy image or that MILF image. Like, I just don't see myself as that. And having never had a human child, I can't really relate.
Yeah, and I can't. I'm trying to visualize you in that.
Yeah, it's just not
happening.
I don't think it's a genre that, and I've done a little bit of it. Like, I've done POV where you're, you know, the camera's like the guy and you're changing his diaper, and you know, I'm actually booked for one of those when I get back to Vegas with a local producer. But in general, I've had 2 that stand out, and I think there was a third where during our session, it was like something in the guy's mind clicked. He started calling me mommy, or I'm standing above him, like flexing or posing because what we were just doing was wrestling related or muscle worship related.
Interesting.
He's on his knees looking up at me like I'm mommy.
Wow.
And I'm like, like, no, I'm not.
Can we just go back to you calling me goddess?
Yeah. Yeah.
How about let's use mistress? Mistress?
Mistress, yeah.
Cheyenne is cool. Throw that one around.
Yeah.
Any one of those.
Did you have to break character in mid-session?
The one guy was actually just in Germany a couple weeks ago, and he was actually rather inappropriate during our session. And
Damn it, Germany!
I don't really care to see said gentleman again. Luckily, it was a short, like kind of a mini, like a 20-30 minute session. So I just kind of put up with it and got done with it and left the room.
But that wasn't this session you were just discussing. This is something else. The mommy?
This is one of, yes. This gentleman was saying mommy, but he was also inappropriate in a couple other disrespectful ways during our session. So I'm not interested in seeing him again. But the other one made me uncomfortable in other ways in this sense, and it was just a strange situation. We just didn't vibe very well when we got together for our session. So it's just kind of like that. You know,
Do you know right off the bat when they walk in if you're gonna have like a good experience?
I a lot of times, and I tell people this sometimes, is that like girls that do a lot of sessions, it's almost like we get this sixth sense, and you can tell it after a couple emails with someone. Sometimes you're like, okay, I have a really good gut feeling about this person, or I have a really bad gut feeling about this person. I don't think I'm gonna go through with this.
Is it just? Do you think it's like you're not on the same page, or maybe they're intimidated by you?
I'm trying to make notes so we can get back to other things, but go ahead.
A lot of it has to do with how they approach me. First off, if you approach me in a very professional manner and your email is, very well worded, good grammar, you sound like an adult to an adult, you're not writing me these
run-on sentences.
Like a novel of no periods, and I'm trying to like make out your, like, are you drunk while you're writing this? Yeah. Like there's
Unless they're like in another country, then you can kind of make an excuse.
yeah,
Or
then
they're trying
then,
to be
yes.
speaking English.
Yeah, but a lot of times the foreign fans will even say, "I'm really sorry about my English."
Sorry about my
yeah,
English, yeah.
something like that. So I have a gut feeling, and if somebody's giving me a bad vibe, or I just don't like the way they approached me in their very first 1 or 2 emails, then I'm just kind of like, I don't think this is going to work out.
So even before they even get a chance to walk in the door.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Like if I get any weird vibes, like I'm like, if your references don't check out and say that you were a lot of fun, then this isn't going to work.
That's right, and you can do references and people
Always
vouch,
check references.
Check references.
Always.
I'm assuming that probably makes it tough for first timers.
It is, and once in a while I will make an exception. I will
If they present
also
their case really well. or-
Yeah, because like for example, I had a guy one time, and he's like, "Well, you're like the third girl that's told me I have to have a reference, and I'm new. So what do I do?" And I'm like, "Well,
How do I get my foot in the door?
it's kind of a hard situation."
How do I get my head into the leg scissors?
How can I be an intern if I don't have experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do feel bad for some of those fellows, and I do understand sometimes in that situation. So I have a couple good girlfriends in Vegas, like Tomiko or Dragon Lily, or
Yay,
some
Tomiko.
of those great wrestler girls. That
I still need to work with Dragon Lily.
yeah. Oh, you should. She's great. So we'll even if we have time, be like, "Hey, are you free at 3 p.m. on Thursday that you can chaperone? Yeah, can you? Would you come with me for this session and at least wait? If the guy's like not like, no, she can't be in the room. Like, will you at least wait downstairs in the lobby and so I at least have somebody there with me if something was to majorly go awry. Like if you don't hear from me by 4:05, that kind of situation.
I would do the.
Like,
I wouldn't
wait
even.
for me.
I wouldn't even go to the lobby. I would sit outside the door.
Yeah.
And I would say, if this girl doesn't text me by X amount of time, then I have a key. I'm going to come in and see what's going on. I had one experience where a guy, I guess, got kind of checked in the face by the girl during a grappling session, started bleeding all over her. And I didn't know that was happening. So I get the text and it's like, come in. So I come in and there's the girl covered in fucking blood. And I almost threw this guy out the window because I thought that he had done this to her. And I was just like, what the fuck? And like the girl's like, no, I accidentally hit him and he's bleeding heavily. Can you check on him? And suddenly it switched to like, oh shit, I should make sure he's okay. But I almost was like, oh, is he okay? Well, let's see if his car's okay. But yeah, sorry. That's like, that brought that memory back. I kind of forgot that. But you were mentioning another tale of woe. Was that the one that came to mind?
Of the uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, because we were talking. You said it triggered a couple of like memories where you were like, "Oh yeah, this."
Oh yeah, it was another mommy guy.
Mommy thing.
Yeah, but this fellow made me uncomfortable in other ways. Like he had some medical conditions, and like he could only session super late at night, like 11 p.m. And it was just
Is he a vampire?
Maybe it was just a multitude of. He's just a very strange
You
fellow.
couldn't get him wet after
and
midnight.
It was just almost like, what if something in the back of his mind, because it was almost like I could tell his mother had abused him. It was some of the verbiage and some of the just things he was saying was almost like mommy was a mean mommy kind of thing.
Mommy dearest.
Yeah.
Why
It was just
hangers?
making me very uncomfortable, and I just wasn't interested in seeing him again. Yeah.
And then that's your prerogative.
Yeah.
If you're not going to feel comfortable during your own session, then don't do it again.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It's not a knock to somebody who has that kind of
No,
history.
I just don't think I'm the session person for the mommy fetish people. It's just not me.
And like I said, once again, guys, no disrespect to your fetish because it's a thing that people can't control, but that is one that I saw a show on. It was on HBO. I saw it either with you or maybe with Photodome, where it was like, oh no, it was our friend Gary Pranzo was in one of these episodes. So
I think I saw where his
Yeah.
stuff was in something.
And the story before it was
Strange
this
Sex.
Strange Sex, and the story before it, or one of the stories before it, was a grown woman who liked to be do baby role play, and then the guy was into her being like shaved smooth, and like the relationship just felt very icky. And I hate to use words like that, but it just made me feel like very uncomfortable. Where it was like, he like, yeah, and I have this huge diaper, and I'll pee myself, and he'll have to clean me up and poop and stuff like that. And he's not really into that. He's more into bondage, but he also likes to see me like completely shaved smooth like a baby. So there's all these little words flying around that I was like, oh no, geez, no, I would never have coffee with these people, you know. And my friend, I don't want to out him or anything, but photo number was there as well, and he was just like, Jesus Christ. And that was one of the things I didn't know was tied into the mommy part of it. It makes sense now, but. Yeah, there was part of that, like I said, I understand where it could come from, but I would never want to be present while anything like that was happening, because it would just make me feel a little weird. But I had no idea. Sorry, Gary. Gary's like, talk about my fucking show. It's like his segment was great.
Well, I guess I'll cancel that custom request.
All right, so we have a couple of more questions. These are all really good, too. Thank you guys for asking great questions. I know a lot of you guys want to reply to them because of privacy, so I won't name names on these. We did the Necro one.
Excuse me.
This is actually pretty good. I'm trying to get the spelling of it. I think this guy's from Germany. Do you prefer to... I think he means dom. Do you prefer to dom or sub in certain fetish clips? Are there any that you like to dom or sub more in?
I'm a true switch, and that's
Ding ding.
Switches
the
unite.
Switch Club. That's another reason that I never get bored, because
The 3 switches.
every day is different.
Switches of Eastwick.
Well, obviously in mixed wrestling I enjoy dominating.
Honey.
So mixed wrestling is always super fun to dominate in. But then, and I'm sure this fan is asking because he's probably also seen me tied up being very submissive with...
we haven't done a lot of talk about bondage, you're right.
Right, yeah. So if he's seen like some of my non-wrestling kink.com work, is in me in the definite opposite role of femdom. So every day is different, and that's one reason I don't get bored with my job. I don't have a specific favorite per se, but as far as like the funnest to dominate in is like the ball busting or the mixed wrestling type
Yeah,
stuff.
because with the ball busting, there really is no switch there unless, I mean, you can do the C busting or whatever.
Yeah, which I've done with Sin. We did a
Oh, I'm sure there's...
jock strap on. We were wearing these really retarded jock straps and like smacking each other with like the strings when you pulled them out and they snap back. And yeah, it was funny, and like kicking each other in the crotch.
Oh my
Nice.
God. Is there anything you've
You
experienced?
cunt, you just kicked me in the cunt.
Kick me in the cunt. Have you, Volume 5, have you ever encountered anything that kind of pushed your limits and you weren't expecting it to? In terms of,
Yeah.
Like I'm assuming a lot of girls that have answered that question, it usually starts with like, say, a bondage session or even a BDSM where they thought like, yeah, I can handle this, and then suddenly it's like, bananas, apples, Trump, whatever the fucking safe word is.
Well, my very
No
first
safeness in that word.
BDSM experience was in early 2008. It was for a company that does extremely hardcore BDSM mixed with sex. And my agent at the time, I don't actually... I've never had an agent that did anything for my career, to be honest with you. It's always been me that's did everything for my career. So
Now, was this an agent for just like porn?
like
or
a
for-
porn agent, yeah. So this particular company was in New York at the time. The agent was out of New Jersey. I was still living in Ohio, so like I flew to Jersey. The agent would like pick me up at the airport, and then he would take me around to like, at the time there was a good handful of New York and New Jersey porn producers, and I don't think they're all there anymore. So he takes me to this BDSM shoot, and all he really tells me is that it's bondage. He doesn't tell me that I'm going to get my soles of my feet caned or like anything. Like I was like 22 years old, like just being thrown into this first BDSM experience.
Shit.
Like no one told me like any psychology behind it or like anything. So I get there and I'm tied up and I'm like, oh, okay. And the dude just starts wailing on me with all these different things, and I'm like, my agent did not tell me about all these this and that and this whip and the flogger and this implement, and like I just was like so pissed.
Now, did you? I'm assuming you probably didn't break character.
I went through with the shoot, but the guy could tell that I obviously hadn't been properly explained.
Briefed.
So he ended up switching a few things different than what they originally thought they were going to do with me that day to make it a little more mild.
Well, that's nice of them.
They ended up turning it more into a forced orgasm shoot and just Hitachi'd me the whole time until my crotch was numb. So that wasn't all that fun either. But that was my first experience. It wasn't that great, and I didn't actually start enjoying it until several years later when I'd worked for a few other companies that had, like, properly explained
things were gonna work.
Yeah, especially like the psychology behind some of it.
I had this vision of like them just caning your feet and you just literally saying what you just said. Like, my agent didn't inform me.
Yeah.
While screaming and crying.
Yeah.
My agent didn't tell me you were gonna fucking get out.
Yeah. So now, after learning things properly, and like especially certain directors that work for some of the bigger companies like Kink, like actually taking the time.
Yeah, and they have the facilities,
Yeah.
they have the time, they have the experts, and that makes a lot of sense. But when it comes to that particular, because I never really watch bondage or BDSM, so I'm always curious about it because it's like, do you prefer being a switch when it comes to those kinds of scenarios, being the dom or being more of the bottom, or like?
I only enjoy bottoming now with select people who I've worked with many, many times that I'm comfortable with.
That you trust, yeah.
That I really trust, that I'm really comfortable with. I'm not interested in just being dommed by just anybody, because I do feel like I have to have a connection, especially with like a male top. I have to at least have a connection with them to open up to let them push my limits.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we just like Jacqueline and I have been kind of I guess experiencing a little bit of that with different people, and I never really thought of it until I was in that situation, that you do have to have a connection emotionally with the person who's either doming you or vice versa, and I totally understand. Now when it comes to you working with somebody, let's say if you had to do a BDSM session with a girl that you've never met, do you just try to like get to know her first a little bit, or like
with women, if it's a female topping me, I'm more open to women in general, or at least I used to be. I've had a couple bad experiences, let's say in the last couple years, where certain women in the industry that, let's say the ones that are always dom, the ones that always their persona on Clips for Sale and always on Twitter and always this, sometimes maybe they're used to beating on men all the time, and then when they top a woman, they don't think to tone it down because, oh, well, she's only 5'5", I can't beat on her as hard as the 200-pound guy I just beat on. So I have had a couple bad experiences with some industry co-workers, if you may, or whatever you want to say, that where said woman didn't tone it down and kind of trampled me a little too hard and pissed me off, and or something like that, where they weren't all that safe about it. It was like, well, this is my persona and I always have to do this, kind of one of those. Yeah, and it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, where it's like, look, dude, like.
But that's a good topic to explore, especially with someone who's a switch, and you've done a lot of dom scenarios where you're the dom. I'm assuming with the grappling and the session work, you do a lot of stuff where you're the dominant persona in that clip or in the session. There is a line there, once again, it's things that I'm trying to compute and understand, and one of the reasons this podcast is so dear to me now is I am starting to get a lot of stuff that I didn't get because people like you come on and explain it. But one of the things that I don't quite get yet is people who are doms. Not a lot of guys I've seen do this, because most of the male doms that I've met and seen online, they just kind of keep it straight to video. They don't go on Twitter and kind of blast their lifestyle. But there's some female doms that, like you said, they don't know kind of how to switch that off. And so when they go on Twitter, when they go on Tumblr, whatever, and it's just this constant flow of like, worship me, love me, fucking this, and that. And I understand that some of it, part of it is you're trying to promote your brand. But when you meet them in real life, for example, I had an experience at FedCon where I walked up to a friend of mine who was sitting there, and I gave her a hug from behind, like you do with friends. And her friend who was next to her was a dom, and fucking went off on me. Like, you don't touch this woman. You don't fucking do this. And I was like, whoa, I know this girl. And she just went off on me, and I just kind of looked down at the girl, and I was like, you know what? Let's talk later, because I'm not going to get into this right now. So I walked away. And later on, my friend brought the girl over and made her kind of apologize. She's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. But it was someone who just was on the whole time. And so, how do I put this without sounding like a dick? Because it's the
sound like a dick. It's okay. This is your podcast.
It's your podcast.
I gotta switch to a dickish brogue. It's like, all right, bruh. But like the whole financial domination thing is a thing that I've had people try to explain to me, and some of the things that they've told me make sense. Some things I can't compute, and I was gonna. So my side of it is like I was telling one of our producer friends about it, and I said, here's the thing that bothers me about the financial domination thing. Is like if some of these guys really get off on giving all their money to these girls, what if they have a wife? What if they have a kid? What if the kid has a college fund? What if money starts coming out of that? What if money
That's
that could
where
be
I
going
draw
to,
the line.
And how do you know where to draw the line when you're doing that? And my friend in turn said, like, well, Cindy, what if someone's secretly buying your videotapes or your videotapes? What is this, 1990? You're Betamax. He said, what about people who like buy your clips and they don't tell their wives or don't tell kids? I'm like, I don't think $11.99 for a clip is wiping the college fund.
Yeah.
But when you have women going like, buy me these new Manolos, they're only $3,000, piggies, and I'm just like, come on.
Let me take your credit card and go on a shopping spree.
Yeah, although bring the guys with them, dress them as pigs, and take them to like a fucking store, and I'm just like, and I go like, I understand that you're trying to feed the fetish, but there's a part of me that is a little thrown by how much of this is you feeding a fetish, and how much of this like, ooh, free money, no matter, and free money without any care as to who it's affecting. And so I know, like I said, you've dealt with a lot of doms that do this, and you've also done dom work. But do you have any sort of insight on that? Because I'd really like to have my mind changed, or, by the truth. But
financial domination has never been one of my top categories, and to be honest, it's because I'm not good at it. I'm not good. I was never a good hustler. When I worked in strip clubs regularly, like as a house dancer, as they call them, I used to joke that I'm the worst stripper on the face of the planet because I don't feed into trying to force people to give me anything. I come from a pretty hardworking, middle-class family, and my parents always taught me you have to work for what you want, and that kind of stuff. So
I'm the same way.
Yeah. It was never, like, even walking up to approach a guy at a table at a strip club for a dance, I was never good at hustling. I'm just too down to earth. I just had to sit down with them, have a beer. We would talk for half an hour or whatever, even longer if it, was a boring, slow night. And maybe
they probably enjoyed that more than the
dance. Yeah, no, I would have guys pay me just to talk, or they'd pay. I'll never forget this guy. For some reason, stands out in my mind. Him and his friend were from Boston. They came in this club in Vegas. His friend automatically got swooped up to go in a back VIP room for like a half an hour. His friend's sitting there by himself, and he's like, I'm going to give you this $100 just to sit here till my friend comes back because I don't want all these girls that are circling around me like sharks to bother me right now. Just sit here.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, just $100 bill just to sit there and fill this spot so that nobody came and bothered this guy and just talk to him until his friend came back.
Okay.
So I actually got paid.
I would have been like, you have to make cat hissing noises when a girl gets close to you.
Yeah, so whatever. Flex at him and chase him away. I don't know what I was supposed to do, but yeah, I had so many situations like that because I was really bad at hustling. I just don't hustle people. It's not in my nature.
Yeah, you want to feel like you've earned your money.
Yeah.
Not just
so do you feel like
advantage.
So if someone came to you and said like, well, financial domination being what it is, what defenses would you put for it being in existence, and is there anything about it that you would criticize? Because I started off being very just critical of it, and then a lot of girls that I knew that did it would just be like, if they just want to give their fucking money away, then why shouldn't I have it? And I'm like, well, that's true, but then again, like once again, my side of it is like, where's this money coming from?
Yeah,
if it's just some lonely guy who's just giving his money away and he has a lot to spare, I understand.
Yeah.
But
well, I'm with you where I draw the line on when you're actually stealing food from their children's mouths or something like that. Then that's not cool. Yeah.
But how can you?
It's like an addiction.
Yeah,
or
it's hard to. You don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of these guys probably don't tell said findom that they're taking.
Is it findom or findom?
Fin. just short for financial.
I know, that's why I go like financial, and I'm like Findom, and it's Findom. Okay.
It's usually spelled Fin, so I've just always said Finn, but maybe
Learn
I'm
something
wrong.
new.
I don't know.
I don't care. I really don't care. But no, okay. So, but if someone because like I said, I feel bad criticizing because I feel like there's an aspect of that I'm just not understanding yet, and that would make it better in my head.
I think because we come from a very different place, and we also love and appreciate our fans, and we don't want to abuse that. Because I know for me, like, I realize I would not be anywhere without my fans. Mm-hmm. And, like, I never want to take advantage of them that way. Like, I mean, sometimes I'm still in amazement that people still buy this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so grateful of that. And it's like, for me to just be like, you know, fuck you, pay me to them. It's just like, no, it's like, I appreciate your fetishes because you're keeping me alive. And
to these guys, the thing is, I say, well, what's the payoff? There's no payoff. You're not doing anything. You're just saying, fuck you, pay me, and you get paid. Which works if you're a good fella, but not so much if you're trying to go like, well, what's the value of what you're putting out there? But the response to that is like, well, what they get out of it is the act of giving up that money.
Yeah, the thing that I've noticed about it, or the way I equate it, I guess, to answer your main question of it, is just that some of these guys just like the straight up being used.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there's other ways to do that.
Yeah.
But then again, like I said, if you have someone who's like a CEO, never got married, he's got fucking millions of dollars,
Yeah.
and he wants to shower it over the girls that he loves, and he wants to feel used, I am like A-okay.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
So that's okay. So let me reformat my stance on Findom. It's as long as that's the situation, and you're not taking food out of kids' mouths or out of wives' pockets that, you know, for rent or whatever, like, then have at it. But I just wanted to hear your side of it, because there was always something that kind of plagued me for a while, and I didn't want to be a dick and like criticize it and have my friends who do it go like, well, you just don't understand.
Yeah, that's my take on it, and it's never been a top genre for me, although I've dabbled in it here and there with certain individuals.
And like, I wouldn't associate gifting with that either.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, a gift is a gift,
Yeah.
but if you're into financial domination, you're more into like the
Here's my credit card kind of thing.
Yeah, well, sometimes that goes into the blackmail fetish too, which is similar with the Findom, which is another one that isn't a big genre for me. I'm not. I've had people ask me over the years, and I'm like, I'm not really comfortable with, you know, this blackmail stuff can probably turn into legal problems if you do it wrong. So no, I'm not interested in doing any of that.
My biggest so I feel like I've reshaped that a bit more. Okay, that makes a little more sense, and I think I could draw that line. I will say this: that the girls that do Findom or Findom or whatever, just for me and for my peace of mind, please stop posting pictures of you holding like a stack of 20s with your location services on, because that's a bad idea.
Some people need to really turn their GPS off when they're on social media.
Phones.
That is not safe. No, or when you post that you're at a restaurant at the exact second you're at the restaurant. Sometimes I'll post a picture of my meal after I leave, or when I'm paying and I'm about to walk out the door. I don't do it when I first sit down at a restaurant. It's just not safe.
Yes.
I do that. The only time I've done that is if I'm posting it in just to friends. Mm-hmm. Like, anybody who's going to show up is going to be somebody that I'm like, hey, man, long time. It's not going to be somebody with a knife, you know.
Yeah.
And a picture of Jacqueline, like, you're in my way.
No, I'm pretty private about when I'm out in public for those reasons. Sometimes I'll post live Snapchats from a concert while I'm at the concert watching a specific band that I want to, like,
I've seen that.
show. Yeah. But I don't, like, the hour before I'm headed to the concert club, I'm not like, oh, hey, guys, I'm going to be here. Come up and say hi or buy me a drink. Like, I don't, you know, I'm out trying to just be...
#piggies.
Yeah, no, I'm out trying to be me, and if a fan randomly recognizes me, by all means, guys, like, I'm not trying to sound like a bitch. You can totally approach me and say, you know, but just think about the way you do it. Please don't be embarrassing. Please don't be like, don't yell, hey, Cheyenne, from across the room. Like, approach me like a normal person with a normal tone, and I'm more than happy to, you know.
So has that ever happened? Has a fan, like, spotted you on the street? And...
Not on the street per se, but I had an interesting situation a couple winters ago where I remember it being a really cold day in Vegas, and I had on my Ultimate Surrender hoodie. I think I was actually sick. I think I was at the store to buy like chicken noodle soup. I had my hoodie like up over my head because I looked like death, and I was just kind of pushing through like with my head down like this. And I saw a guy walk with a woman who I'm assuming was his wife, and they were walking the opposite way down the aisle from me. And I just barely made eye contact with him from under my hood because I think I noticed he was kind of being a little like, and I'm like, why is that guy being so weird? So I kind of looked, and as soon as I walked past him, and he read the back of my hoodie, or maybe he saw, I think it said Ultimate Surrender on like the front pocket or something too. He's behind me while the woman is looking at the cereal or whatever. He's standing behind her like... So I kind of equated it more to he recognized the Ultimate Surrender symbol. Maybe he was a fan of the site more than he actually knew who was in the hoodie because I looked like death, no makeup on, had the hood pulled down. So I think it was just more that he knew what Ultimate Surrender was.
That he just really knew what your ass looked like.
Oh, or yeah. But I've never had anybody straight up walk up to me in public and be like, "Oh, I know who you are."
We've had one, like in terms of like going to cons and stuff like that. That's different because
they know we're gonna be at those. Yeah,
but we had a guy at an airport who was we had just gotten back from a really long flight and we were just tired and waiting for the cab or to pick us up or our ride. And there's this guy like sitting behind me outside and he's just staring at me. And just staring at Jackie and looking back and forth at us with this little half grin on his face, like he knew like the answer to a question that we didn't know or a joke, and he just had this kind of like, nodding up and down, like.
Yeah, it was a little strange. And
Jack,
like, I noticed him, you noticed him.
Yeah, we noticed him, and it was an uncomfortably long time because my ride was like stuck in traffic. So he just sat there and kind of stared at us for a good 10-15 minutes straight, and finally I was just like, I guess I should ask this dude what's going on, and then my brother came in and picked us up or whatever. And then, like, I think later on that night, I get an email, and it's like, hey, I saw you in Jacqueline Velvet's at the airport earlier. I was so nervous, though, I couldn't say anything. And I was just like, instead, you just stared at us for 15 minutes with
that
this...
was more awkward than...
With this, I may or may not stab you grin on your face. And I told him, I was just like, just next time, just fucking...
Next time.
I don't know if there's going to be a next time, but I was like, if you see us, like, fucking just walk up and say... Hey, are you so-and-so and so-and-so? You are? I'm a huge fan of your work. It's not very hard to do.
Yeah, that's like the best way to approach a person in our position, I would say, is just don't be super awkward about it. Just walk up and just say it like, all nice and normal tone. And
a perfect example of that, and this one was more mind-blowing. I was born in Colombia in South America. I hadn't been back since I was 2 years old. So
this is good.
I took Jacqueline to Medellin, where I was born, which is like the Pablo Escobar drug capital. Now it's safe, kind of polluted, but still a beautiful city. And we went to this massive mall that they had there. My aunt and uncle thought it was like, you gotta see this mall, it's huge, the fucking ceiling comes off, they have a pool, it's like, all right, let's go. So we go there, and there's a guy working behind like a cubicle at a cell phone, not a cubicle, but like a stand, like a cell phone stand. And he Metro PCS. And he walks up to us, he's got a shirt on, the badge, and he comes up and he goes, is your name Santiago? And I go, and at first, here's the thing, I have a biological father in Colombia that I never met.
Oh.
So for a split second, I was like, okay, no, that can't be him. He doesn't look anything like me. Maybe he's a cousin, I don't know. Maybe he just and he just goes
you have a lot of cousins.
Yeah, I do have a lot of cousins. Like, we multiply like roaches. That's just how it is. And he's just like, are you Santiago? And I'm like, I'm in the middle of Medellin, Colombia. Never been here for my entire life. And this guy just walks up and he knows my first name. So my brain is going like, oh God, what the fuck do I say? And I go, yeah, that's my name. Is that Jacqueline? And I go, fucker! I'm like, you're either the best guesser in the world or you're going to kill me. And he just goes like, I'm such a huge fan of your work. And in Spanish. And he's just like, I just really love your work. I have a foot fetish thing. I would also like Sleepy. I love wrestling. And I'm a huge fan. What the fuck are you two doing here? That was his like, what are you two doing in the middle of Colombia in front of my fucking, stand? And I just go like, I first time visiting, family here. This is I introduced Jackie. I go, Jackie's like, is that someone you know? And I'm like, he's a fan. Jackie's like, what?
No way.
And the thing is, if you introduce yourself as a fan of my work, like I can be such an egotist sometimes that I'll treat you like royalty. I'll be like, dude, you like my work? What do you like? What's your favorite video? Let me buy you a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
And he was very sweet. He asked for a photo. We took a photo with him. Meanwhile, my aunt and uncle are kind of like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
So my aunt and uncle, my mom and dad are sitting there going like, why is this random guy asking to take a picture with Jacqueline Santiago? And my aunt go like, what does he do for a living again? And my mom was like, things. But anyway.
We're kind of a big deal. That's all you need to know.
But anyway, so to take away from that story is to just, if you're going to approach Cheyenne on the street, do it respectful.
Yes.
And don't,
And you won't get kicked in the face. Just be nice.
Like, I saw you do this one necro video.
Yeah, no, let's not talk about fists in the ass in public or anything like that. We'll just be normal. But I have had more than one incident in airports where...
Oh, nice.
People have kind of given me kind of a side eye, like a could that be kind of look, and we maybe like made eye contact for a second in passing, like while running to a plane or something. So I've had incidents like that where I've wondered if I've been recognized.
Do you dress a certain way when you're not, like, because I noticed, for example, I'm not going to take pictures or anything, but like right now you were wearing the coolest onesie
I don't know
I've
if
ever
it's
seen.
the coolest.
It's a pink onesie with little skulls on it.
They're like cat skulls, regular skulls, and I just think these are like, there's like some kitties, I think.
Little kitty skulls.
Maybe they're just skull heads, I don't know.
But
I just thought they were
It's
cats.
whatever you want it to be.
But when you so not to dispel any fantasies, but when Cheyenne's here and she's not shooting, she's wearing sweatpants, she's just wearing a sweatshirt, it's like chill out kind of clothing. So when you're
Always.
traveling around like an airport, you're not like dressed to the nines.
No. I am a straight up tomboy. I am all about comfort and convenience. In my old 32 years old now, I do not dress
You're
up
a baby.
unless I'm being paid to dress up or I actually want to, which is very rare. Like I'm going to like a fancy dinner or something. Yeah.
So, but even then, you're getting that recognition of like that could be Cheyenne.
Well, I might actually put on makeup in public if I'm going to a nice dinner, but if I'm running through the airport, I usually look like death. I probably haven't been to bed yet. Yeah.
Jacqueline always gives me shit because I show up wearing flip-flops and sweatpants. And Jacqueline's like, oh, come on, honey. Because she goes to the airport, she's got jeans on, a little sweater, she looks all cute, and I'm just like this fucking schlub.
Comfy casual. Like, let's meet in the middle right here.
I don't want to have to untie my shoes when I go through security.
Oh, yeah, no.
So I'm just like, flip-flops, boom, in the bin, put them back on, and I understand that that's not very hygienic, but whatever, I'm still alive.
Yeah.
But let's move on. So there's another question here. There's one I was actually going to approach you with anyway, and this guy phrased it pretty well. We'll do the one that's the least important, then we'll end on the one that I think is the biggest, the one that always ends up being the most fun to reply.
Okay.
Do you prefer doing grappling or staged wrestling? If so, pros and cons of both. Okay, I see what he means. So in terms of the wrestling stuff, the wrestling fans, you do a lot of grappling, but you also do a lot of staged. What do you like? What do you dislike about both?
My favorite genre of all the different kind of wrestling subgenres in our world is definitely more the competitive. It's kind of my bread and butter, and the reason why I actually take real grappling classes outside on my own time is I do enjoy the legit grappling the most personally. But again, every day being different and never getting bored, I also love to do stage stuff too, because I don't get to do it as often. And when I get to like come down here and work with you or work with Rick is like some of the few times that I actually get to do certain moves. So it's, really, really cool because you guys have the proper setups for that type of stuff.
No,
So.
totally. And,
Pros and cons of both.
Yeah.
So cons of either is easily getting hurt, obviously. The competitive stuff can easily go, you don't tap fast enough and you get your arm hyperextended in an arm bar or something like that. You do a pro style move wrong and you're probably going to get hurt. So it's like being hurt being the worst things, and of course you never want that stuff to happen. Pros being... Well, first of all, you can get a good workout doing either of them. They're both a great workout, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sore from just a couple lifts and posting off of things that I did yesterday. I'm a little sore, just more because I don't use those muscles as much, like as repetitive for those type of moves. So yeah, pros being each is different and fun in its own way, and cons being you can easily get hurt in either one.
Okay. All right. So this is one of the ones that's kind of the core to a lot of the models that we have to visit because I think it really connects with the fans. But we heard about Cheyenne's kind of like, I guess, the genesis of your intro to the world of fetish and stuff like that. And you've done a lot of stuff that's under the sun. What are your own fetishes, if any, and have you explored them in your videos? The if any, I think is interesting because this guy has actually been listening to our podcast for a while, and there's some girls who have claimed that they don't have any, which I think is very interesting between the genders because I find that most girls say that, like that oh, I don't have a fetish. Where guys will be like, I like schoolgirls hula hooping in July, you know.
I knew it.
Is there anything that just like has ever developed as you grew up that you're comfortable talking about? Or
Well, the weird thing about me getting into this business is that because I pondered on this many times over the years personally, where I've been like, well, that was weird that I got into all this because growing up, there was nothing that stands out in my mind that has been a legit trigger. And like I said earlier about how I got into it is that I kind of fell into it on accident. Just more of just answering that ad in the back of that entertainment paper was just more like I was just looking for a gig to make some extra money. It was never something 10 years ago. I didn't think I'd be sitting here telling you this story because I didn't intend on doing this full time. Just kind of happened because I guess I was good at it. I don't know. Yeah, it's just that I'm shocked to have even made a career out of this because there was nothing at the beginning that really triggered anything. There wasn't like I didn't ever notice feet before getting into foot fetish. I didn't ever even know there was a wrestling fetish world. I didn't, I guess as a teenager, I just had, I guess, what would be considered vanilla sex. Didn't really think anything of it. Just,
which is common. Like there's some porn stars I've met where that's what they prefer because when all they do is do the shit that's not vanilla.
Yeah, they're
and then
crazy.
They come home and they're like, "Can we just have missionary sex and watch some TV?"
Yeah. But I would say I've developed liking certain things more and more and more through the industry. And
that was the second question I was going to ask. Yeah.
Having one thing that I like about all the different stuff that I've done, and including the mainstream porn industry, is that it has given me a safe environment. Although, you always have your naysayers saying, oh, well, that's not safe because you have sex with strangers. But no, like I have a safe environment on most sets to go to where, I can be myself and explore and try new things. And if something hurts, we don't have to do it again or whatever. And it's just, I just feel a more professional, safe environment to explore.
Now, is there anything that has stuck with you more than others? Like something where you've developed it? And like I said, fetishes can be developed at any point, but usually when we talk about them, it's stuff that happened when you were young and something clicked the right way. We were talking about ball busting earlier in that respect. But is there, like, I've had girls who have told me, I think it was Tracy Jordan who doesn't mind me talking about it, but she's like, I didn't know that I love the fucking feel of spandex until she was wearing like full body suits as Batgirl. She'd be like, oh my god, this feels fucking great. Oh, we have a door. Is that something?
Who wants to get that?
I'll get it.
I think that would be your man.
Probably. He didn't understand leave the door unlocked for you.
No, it's okay. We can keep talking. But yeah, so she was talking about how she really liked the feel of spandex. There's another girl that I know that didn't really have fetishes until she started doing pro wrestling role play. And now, she has a thing for wearing the tights, the spandex, the thongs, the knee pads, the elbow pads, and wrestling. Like, she actually likes it. And so she talks to me about it all the time, and I'm so proud of her because I'm like, fucking, you discovered this when you were 29 and getting into it? She's like, yeah. So is there anything that's kind of stuck to you?
I've done a fair amount of spanking fetish where I've been the top and or the bottom. And I've learned to enjoy that. I didn't used to like the whole being hit or struck or spanked thing, which kind of stemmed off of that first bad experience in 2008 with that first experience. But as I was exposed to it properly by other companies and other people, I actually started liking being spanked and even spanking other people. So I enjoy.
Yeah, if it's done right.
Yeah, if it's
and
done
the chemistry
right.
is there. It can be a very
it's a lot of
just
fun,
just
right?
Just open-handed spanking, or just
open-handed, or even using a leather strap, or and I did start learning to enjoy pain and like learning the fun ways to enjoy pain.
Well, there's definitely an art form to it. Like, you
Yeah,
can't
you
just,
have to
like,
know
full
what you're
throttle
doing.
wail on somebody.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to like build.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
The proper warm up is
Yes.
always good.
a proper.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, shit. Oh, yeah, and that was the kind of the core of that question. Is there anything that just kind of you picked up that you would never have had if you hadn't gotten to this business?
Probably spanking, and I can't even say that came from my childhood because I wasn't necessarily spanked as a kid. I mean, my grandfather had this crazy long belt. But this wasn't even spanking necessarily, but if we did something bad as a kid, I remember this because I would go and I would run around the corner, and as I'm running laughing at my grandpa saying he can't catch me or whatever, he had this way of this crazy long belt would wrap around the corner and still get me. It had like this crazy reach on it. But I mean, that was even only a couple times, so I can't even say that was just my
You like open the door to a closet, it's like whoosh.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You're gonna get the belt.
Yeah, but I mean, my mom and dad did not spank me as a child, so I can't even say that it came from my
And my
childhood.
parents did, and I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it never triggered anything
Yeah.
in me in that case. Like I recently started getting like I don't consider myself to be a bottom at all, but we were at a couple of parties where I got flogged, and the person who was doing it knew what they were doing, knew how to build up, and I fucking loved it. I thought it was this huge release emotionally for me, and I was like never expected to like it. I thought I was going to be like, oh, that's a nice, oh, ow, 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 stop, you know, and instead, you know, because before that, a girl had caned me who didn't know what she was doing, so all she did was like, fuck, and I was just like, tap, 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 tap.
I hate this.
And that's for my friend Cole Chase, who she did it because it wasn't her fault. I told her that she could. It's like, go ahead, have at it. She was like, all right, can I? Whap, 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 and that sucked.
And this is how we learn.
This is how we learn. But to wrap up, there's something that we kind of sparked my memory when we were talking, because like one of the experiences I remember the most with just hanging out with you is we were all sitting by a fire at one point, and we were all exchanging the craziest stories we've ever heard in terms of like not just necessarily yourself, but something you heard in the industry or something someone else went through that just stuck with you. And I was going to see if you didn't mind telling something that just, you know, has always stuck with you. Because we all have those things that we've seen or experienced where it's like, I'm going to file this away for later use because it's a damn good fucking anecdote. And we told a few around the fire, and I struggled. You had some really good ones.
I can't remember what I was telling you that night now.
So I remember the core of it was like, we had one girl who talked about, she did a session with a guy, and my friend Photonum was outside the hotel. He was a chaperone, and it was like an hour session, but like 10 minutes in, she texted him and it's like something like, I stapled the guy's dick to his body, and he threw up. Lame. Come get me. You know, and I was just like, "What did you expect was going to happen?" My brain, like, if I told this story wrong, Photonum, I'm sorry, but I think it was Staples.
Yeah.
If it was something else, like nail it to the.
No, I think it was a staple gun.
It was like a staple gun. Like, chunk, 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 chunk. And the guy threw up. And she was like, bodily fluids, fuck this, I'm out. But we started telling stories. And I was going to see if there's anything that just is out there that you would like to kind of tell. And it doesn't necessarily be something you went through. It could be something where like, holy shit, this one person had to deal with this. Like I've had a few that I've heard that I've kept, but
again, so many over 10 years. I'm trying to specifically think of a cool one, and I can't remember which ones I already told you that particular night. I don't remember what I was talking about now.
we might have been talking about private sessions because that was a huge deal.
Probably.
Yeah.
It was probably, I don't know. I've so many crazy session stories. However, I have been very lucky. There's a couple ladies who have been, had guys attack them, try to rob them, you know, all those bad scenarios.
I
that
know
can
a few
happen.
girls,
Yeah,
that's happened too.
when you're in a private situation like that, and that's why you always check references. But even so, you don't know if you're doing something to somebody and it triggers them, and you're in a room by yourself. Like the last girl he saw could have said that he was a very nice person and whatever, but now you're scissoring him and he freaks out, and I mean, you just don't know. So that kind of thing is always in the back of my mind. Especially meeting someone for the first time, but
it's risky. That's for sure.
Yeah, just girls telling me about guys just flipping out during sessions and then trying to beat on them. And actually, you may have seen some tweets that Rapture had a guy freak out on her not that long ago. And I think he actually hit her or something. And she posted the pictures on Twitter to warn everybody not to session with this guy. And then in Vegas, a handful of ladies had started working with this gentleman that was recommended by a local dom. She's like, oh yeah, he's good to have on video. He takes command well and everything. So it was a pro style kind of scripted wrestling type thing. The girl claims that the knee that she threw at him was a fake knee. She's like, it barely even touched him. Guy just freaked out, started saying that she hurt his rib, and just got really, really weird on the set, and they had to ask him to leave. And this same guy had just been at my house the week before because a bunch of girls rented my mat room. Had this guy at my house, and it's just like...
And he had been okay at your house?
He was fine that day. They were wondering if he didn't have some sort of a roid rage or something happen the day about the fake knee, because she's like, I didn't hit him hard at all, and he just flipped.
Jesus.
So it's like something triggered something, and I don't know what the situation was exactly. So, yeah, that just happened recently.
I had so the story that I always tell, and I never name names on this one either, because it's... And that was one of the ones you heard that night around the fire. I remember I looked at you and you had a fucking look on your face like, what? And it was one of my friends had, I don't think it was a session. I think it was one of those things where she got together with another friend. They did all kinds of powerful drugs, and they proceeded to, in a consensual manner, cannibalize each other. Whereas a little chunk of meat off the arm, another chunk of meat off the other person's arm, exchange.
All right, we need to clarify. So this wasn't a chunk of meat. It was not that I'm talking about this because I know or I was there or a part of it.
Jacqueline's like, honey, why do you keep telling the story?
But if you're going to get the story right.
It was our honeymoon.
You don't remember all the details?
Yeah, please clarify, because I remember we were drinking, so...
Yeah, it was just that first layer of skin. And they cut off a square from each of their arms and fried it, cooked it, and ate it.
In front of each other.
And
it wasn't a session. I don't think it was a session. I think it was just like really high people who were like, this is a good idea.
Were they on bath salts? What was going on there?
That's what I said yesterday. I was like, it's a bath... And... the girl and the guy, the people involved, if you're listening to this, I am not dissing at all. If anything, I'm still in awe. Fuck, I'm still telling the story like this many years later, because I remember I turned to you when she told the story, and we were all drinking that night, and you just kind of, I think you said something kind of like, well, she's got me beat. Because we were all trying to like out-story each other, and you were like, yeah, well, winner, we have a winner, that kind of thing. And
that's a wrap on the night.
And on that note, Uber, but...
Yeah, I can't beat that one.
No, dude, no. But yeah, I was hoping to get, a tale that was a little more filled with mirth. But now that you brought that up, it's a big deal, too. We have a wrestler, she'll tell you the same story. Actually, she'll tell the world the same story from our friend Mutiny. She's one of those girls that did sessions and didn't... For a long time, she did a lot, and she had some really intense stories.
She's one of the ones that told me stories of being robbed, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, there was a guy who would start, what would happen to Rapture, start wailing away. And luckily she knows how to fucking defend herself. So if there's any, I guess, take that away from this particular podcast. If you're going to go into the world of sessioning, fucking chaperones are amazing. Vouching or references are great.
Always check the references no matter what.
And if you are going to give somebody a shot who has never done it before, which happens, then bring a fucking chaperone. And you'll have a better time. But is there anything to cap it off? I asked you earlier, I said if there's anything that you're curious about us that you want to ask, or if not, that's fine too. Because we already we're an open book, so we've already kind of told you everything to begin with.
I guess I'm kind of interested in how did you get into sleepy fetish?
Okay. So I have told this story before on the podcast, I do believe, right?
Yeah, you can still tell the abridged version.
The abridged version. So I got into it by chance. I was doing a bondage shoot with another photographer, and we had started doing videos together where I was playing the bad girl, and different scenarios where I was like capturing these girls, tying them up, doing the whole thing. And, at the time, like, he was just the male producer, and like it was difficult for him to recruit girls, but he found it was a lot easier with another female, especially being there on the shoot. And I just got more and more interested in becoming part of, the fetish video scene. And we met a girl on one of the shoots, and she found out where I was from at the time. I was living up in New York, and she just nonchalantly asked me, like, what are you doing Saturday? Because I'm working with this company, and they go by Evangeline Von Winter, so it's Levi and Eve. And she's like, it's sleepy stuff. And I'm like, oh, what's that? You get paid to sleep? Like, that sounds easy, but it wasn't. But I figured I'd just give it a shot because it was like so close to me. And, she said they're really good people. It's easy pay. Like, just try it out. And I did. And I had a great time, an absolute great time. I didn't even realize that there was such a thing as sleepy fetish. I had no idea what I was doing. But apparently I was really, really good at it. And the fans, gave me like, a very warm welcome, and they seemed to like me and my style and everything. And they started asking me to come back and do more and more shoots. And I had a blast doing them. And I just became like more and more part of the sleepy side of things. And it got to a point where like Levi just got tired of hiring me, and he said, like, why don't you just start your own site so that we could all do trade together? And it was perfect timing for me because I was at a crossroads in my life where, I was doing modeling for other companies, and still, I had graduated school, and I was working in the city at a chiropractor's office, and felt like I was rotting away at this desk job. And I was previously engaged to somebody else. That didn't work out, obviously. And we had wanted to, we wanted to get our own place and get married and all this stuff. And so, he kind of was the one that kicked me into gear and said, like, you could do this. You could open up your own store. And he like knocked my ass into gear about it, and I'm very thankful for that. And so, yeah, it kind of just snowballed from there. And I taught myself how to do everything. Like, I started from the ground up, like, working with like Home Depot lights and a shitty camera. But, I bought everything myself. I taught myself how to edit. And, I started learning more and more about the fetish and the intricacies of it. And, some girls that do this, like, and they start off, it's like, they're the new girl on the scene, and it's like a flash in the pan, and they're not passionate about it, but like, I definitely am. And it was just something for me where the door was opened, somebody was there to grab my hand, and we just went running together. And I've had my site since 2008. Yeah. 2008, I've had my site.
Because you met in 2010, so you'd already had it for like almost 2 years.
I believe so, or was it 2007?
I think it's 2007.
Yeah, all right, 2007. Yeah, because I met you in 2009, and then we started dating in 2010.
Oh, right, yeah,
that's right.
That makes sense.
So yeah, I feel very fortunate to have been subjected to this because, I feel very passionately about the fetish, and I don't have it per se, but it is very intriguing. I love it. I adore it. I practice it and I understand it completely. It's my baby. It's my heart and soul. And, I do dabble in a lot of other fetishes because, the world of fetish fascinates me to no end. And
plus, you're a lot like her in that your brain kind of, well, me too, our brains work in such a way where we're easily bored. And that's why I couldn't hold a fucking day job
I don't
because
know
of
if
that.
I don't know if it's me being easily bored.
Oh, I am. I fucking am.
I just like to be like, people have called me like the Jacqueline of all trades, the Jackie of all trades.
Renaissance woman.
And I kind of like that challenge in getting dip my toes into like different pools of like, you know, what else can I tap into, and let me just, you know, try my acting abilities on this or wrap my head around this. And it's very intriguing to me, like, and it just keeps, you know, things like fresh and new and alive and interesting. And every fetish that I do, I always do try to get into the psychology of it, because it helps me like understand it and be like, okay, well, this is the way that I need to be, and or whatever. And
do you guys do that when you get a custom request and it's like, okay, I want you to be wearing this and doing this in this particular scene, and do you reply with like, can you tell me why you're into this, so I kind of understand the psychology of it, or do you just kind of go for it?
I don't usually ask so forwardly. If they want to tell me anything extra, then they can. But if it's one of those custom requests where they just did not give enough specifics for me to go off of or to understand the direction that they want the custom to go in, then I might ask more about like, can you at least explain this a little better? Can you give me a longer script? Can you attach examples if you have any? If it's something that I really am trying, like I'm struggling like to put this script together, because you know, sometimes they don't give us enough information.
I've gotten that too, where a guy will be like, can you do a fight scene like this and that? I'm like, can you send me a clip example? So they'll send me a video of like the movie Mortal Kombat. Like, can her head shake like this when she gets punched? And like that I can do, now that I know what the fuck you're talking about. But to wrap, the last question I will ask, and it's a very simple one, is the, let's say you have a young model who's getting into this business for the first time. She comes to you for advice. And like, you know, in a few paragraphs, what would you say?
Due to the nature that I feel, and it is kind of the porn industry as a whole, fetish and mainstream, like everything crunched together, I feel like, and I'm a little scared in the situation that being with our current new president and everything, I'm a little afraid of the direction that the industry is going. I'm sure you guys are aware of the, you know, that condom thing that was just a big deal in LA and stuff like that. I'm afraid that our industry is going to end up having to go back underground eventually. I feel like the politicians, certain people in certain offices are going to just really start hounding, especially the sex scene type stuff, to where I don't really know where this industry is going to be in 5 years, 10 years.
It's not going to go away, though.
It'll never go completely away. I think enough of us have a big enough name to go underground and still keep our fan base, per se. Maybe custom videos will become an even bigger thing if people can't just go and get their free porn off. If they end up like closing all the porn hubs or something ends up shutting down where people can't get the free stuff, I would actually be very happy about that. But I as of right now, I have a lot of fears of the direction that the industry is going, and I would honestly tell somebody right now, I would be like, don't quit your day job if you have one. Don't go jumping into this head first just to do it full time, because first of all, there's always an oversaturation of models, always. As a brand new hot girl coming in, whether you be young or old or middle-aged or whatever, being the new fresh face on the scene, of course, you're initially going to get a ton of work. Everybody's going to want to work with you, depending on your look and your body type and what you're good at and everything. And you're initially going to get a ton of work. But then to just, go down the line kind of as we all have, of like, you get started like this and then the progression of kind of producing your own stuff, and it's kind of like a progression. So then we turn into the model producers, and then it's just so oversaturated right now with everything. Everything, whether it be wrestling or this or that, it's all very oversaturated right now. I wouldn't quit your day job. I would still keep going to school or having your whatever on the side that you're good at, that, that's a regular paycheck, because there's weeks and there's months where our paychecks are not very reliable in this business, and I just don't recommend jumping in head first at this point, because I really don't know where the industry is going to go. That's
a really good point, because I think if someone had asked me the same thing, I would have said, like, well, if you were doing it when I was doing it, because I managed to hit right when whatever the niches that we fill, niche, whatever. The niches that I fill was completely barren when I went for it. Now there's just so much of it that it's hard for anybody to come in and be like, well, I'm going to make a huge mark with this because no one's ever seen this before. Unless you're doing something really unique. And even then, like...
It's hard to do these days.
There's really not a whole lot. I mean, what else can you do? Like, what else? There's little... what did someone say the other day? There was a video of like a nipple...
What?
Nipples shitting dicks or something like that?
Oh,
or
God.
Dick shitting nipples? There was a clip online of like giant dick-shaped nipples shitting out something, and it was some like it was like a hentai thing, and at that point I was like, yeah, we're scraping the bottom now. Like, there's no one's going to come up with a new concept, and someone's going to go like, I've never seen that in another store. So yeah, you're right. I would start. I would have been a little more like maybe optimistic, but you're absolutely right. It's if someone does now ask us for advice, I'd probably say the same thing. It's like if you have a really good day job, do this as a hobby.
Yeah, do this on the side, on your day off.
Supplemental income.
Whatever. Do not jump into this head on thinking that you're going to make $10,000 a month, because it's not the reality. It's just not.
And a lot of models and producers think that's the case, and you're right. Some of the paychecks are not fucking fantastic.
No, and always be open-minded to the other areas that us models can dabble in to bring in the extra paychecks, like the webcamming or the night flirt or the this and the Skype shows, whatever. Like you always have to have something else going on. You can't just say, I'm just going to work for Clips for Sale and I'm just going to shoot clips. That's all I'm going to do. Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to have some good checks and some good months and whatever, but you're in reality to be comfortable in this. You have to touch on the different gamuts. You have to, if you're not okay with doing the live sessions, you probably want to supplement with your Skype sessions or whatever, because you need the different checks coming in from all the different areas to be comfortable.
Yeah. To
live comfortably.
And it is, even in my world, in Sleeper Kids world. No, it's a fucking saturated market. And there's even just in the small group of like pro wrestling sites, there's so many out there now. Just wrestling sites in general, or even Stage Combat. There's superheroine stuff is fucking, there's like 16 different sites now that do such good work. I could never touch that stuff. Like I try to sometimes, I'll do like a special effects shot. These guys are doing like the whole movie is just like, feels like you're watching an actual movie. And the costumes and the stage is like, it's mind-blowingly good.
I want to work with those companies.
Yeah, at that point I'm like, I'm not even trying to be like you, but like I would love to work for you. Like if you need a bad guy, I just want to be in one of your videos. So there's like always all these places that you can go to, but there's a lot out there. And for fans, that's a great thing, but for producers or wannabe producers, it's a minefield, because if you don't have anything to offer that's going to stand out, you're going to get lost in the fucking forest. But I don't want to end it on that bad of a note. On the good note, Cheyenne Jewel is, in my opinion, one of the hardest working models I've ever worked with.
Thank you.
She's takes direction just perfectly. Your performances have all been great. You sell great for us, which is great.
Thanks.
And the only downside is we don't get to see you.
We
as
live
often.
too far.
Yeah. But now that I know that you are willing to travel to Phoenix.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we can get you to come out to work with Rick of
FemWrestlingRooms.com. Hello, Rick.
FemWrestlingRooms.com. And Rick is and so we can go out there and work with you. But also for you guys who are listening, you're making plans to come out here possibly in May.
May, yes. Get your customs into Jackie and Santee for May. I'm looking at coming back in early May, whether it be the first or the second week. I'm putting that together now.
So for May, if you want to contact me, it's iamsleeperkid@yahoo.com, JacquelineVelvets@gmail.com. Can you give us a couple of plugs for your clip store? Do you know your...
Well, my main one is CheyenneJewel.com, routes to my main clip store, and then Ultimate Tap Out is my wrestling clip store. Asphyxiation is my face sitting store, and then Cheyenne Jewel's Feet is obviously my foot fetish store. So there's all of those links, and then of course you can find me. Twitter is my most responsive public social media for fans. I generally check Twitter every day and answer questions on there. I have a stupid Facebook. You follow it if you want, but please do not talk to me on Facebook. I hate Facebook. I actually don't check private messages there. I have an Instagram, and I now have a Snapchat. I have a premium Snapchat where I do like my naughtier private bedroom moments. If anybody's interested in inquiring about that, you can email me. email for anything. I have one email for customs and everything. It's CheyenneJewel216@gmail.com.
And you also have a Tumblr.
I have a Tumblr. I had to go the route due to my lack of time and all these social medias where everything's connected.
Yeah.
So if you tweet me, it's going to go through, well, if I post an Instagram picture, it
goes everywhere.
Through to Tumblr, goes through to Twitter, goes through to Facebook. So I have them all connected now.
That's why I like Instagram.
It's
just like
very
boom,
convenient
one
to
click.
link everything.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to working with you in May and hopefully seeing you before that for whatever reason. But I don't know, we had a blast. And we'll just wish you could have lasted longer because you have to head out tomorrow, tonight? I don't know.
I have to check my email about a possible session that will decide where what I'm doing this evening.
Okay, well, let us know. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much to Cheyenne for making time to do this.
No, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun, and just a big thanks to all the fans that have supported me for the 10 plus years, and I'm always happy to hear about new fans too. I know people are turning of age every day and discovering new things online, so never be afraid to just drop me an email and say, hey, I'm a fan of this and that.
This is the one of the few I think businesses where my theory is that you will never really lose a fan base because there's always people who are discovering
every day.
They like what you got. But we love you guys, and we can't wait to do another one. And in the meantime, good night, and we'll see you next time.
Good night. Thanks.
Adios.